Hey guys, how you doing you all? In this video we are going to see part 2 of What If Deku Fall in Love with Lusty Tokage. And please do check out story named My Alliance by DrawingDoc. And make sure to leave a like, share and subscribe. Let's get into the video. Class 1 Awaiting Room. Midoriya. The green-haired boy shuddered upon hearing his name. He turned to the left to witness the one person calling out to him, and upon doing so, his pupils shrank. The guy was significantly taller than the greenette by at least 4 inches. His short straight hair was split down the middle in 2 separate colors, snow white on the right and deep crimson on the left. His eyes followed the same format, being cold gray and turquoise respectively. To complete the look, his face also bore a massive burn scar around his left eye. He wasn't just any run-of-the-mill hero core student, but one of the 4 candidates to enroll in UA through recommendations. Todoroki. What's up? The heterochromatic boy squinted his eyes harder as if he were studying the greenette before him. From an objective standpoint, I think it's clear that I'm stronger than you. Okay then. However, from what I heard, you've got All Might helping you out on the sidelines. Izuku gasped at the accusation. How does he know about that? Was he spying on me? No, I can't jump the gun yet. I'd better hear him out first. I'm not here to find out what's going on between you two. But know this. I will beat you today. Whoa. Kaminari noted from a distance. I didn't think Todoroki would declare war on anybody here, let alone Midoriya. Kirishima jumped in to ease the tension. Hey. Calm down, man. Let's just save our energy for the festival. We haven't even started. I'm not here to make friends. Todoroki interjected before walking away. Whatever we have out here is not a team effort. Midoriya stirred a bit over what his new rival said before speaking up. Wait, Todoroki. I don't know what you're thinking, or why you believe you need to tell me that you'll beat me. I know you're better than I am. Heck, you're even more powerful than everyone else here. It's no surprise you got in so easily. Todoroki halts in his tracks to hear the boy elaborate. Come on, Midoriya. Don't be hard on yourself. The Redeed tried to butt in again. No. It's fine, Kirishima. He's right. Everyone from our year is ready to give it their all for this event. We're all fighting each other to get noticed in the end of the day. Todoroki finally turns around as Midoriya says one last thing. That said, I'm aiming for the top as well. Count on it. Todoroki glared at him for a bit before leaving the waiting room. Fine then. Just as the heterochromatic team left, Midoriya's legs shake as he leans onto a table while Kirishima and Iida rush over to his side. Midoriya. You okay, bro? I'm fine, guys. Thanks. Just need a minute. He takes a few breaths to calm his nerves. Be careful not to rush yourself. If you need more time, let us know. Iida informed his friend while chopping the air with one hand. Midoriya stands back up a few seconds later, nodding. I'm ready. Let's go, guys. He then walks out the door with everyone else. Sports Festival Stadium. Present Mick appears on the big screen next to the bandaged Eraserhead to announce the festival. Hey yo. Make some noise, you rabid sports goers. And prep those cameras, media men. Cause we're bringing you some of the hottest performances this year in UA festival history. Now, before we begin, I've got one question for you all. Are you ready? Give it up for our lineup of students this year on the main stage. Why do you have to be so noisy in the morning? The bandaged hero interjects. All Might sits with the rest of the teachers, anticipating the arrival of all of the students to walk in on stage, or more specifically, one student. Come on, young Midoriya. Show yourself to the world and proudly say, I am here. As on cue, Midoriya shows up on stage first, with the rest of Wanna following behind, as the boy whispers, I hope you're watching All Might. I won't let you down. This first group is no stranger to the headlines. You know them for surviving a villain's attack. They're the dazzling students lighting up your TVs with pure star energy. Give it up for the hero core students of Class 1A. Midoriya freaks out during the stroll. Holy whoa. That's a lot of people. I should have expected this, though. Iida consoles his friend, indeed. I hope we can give it our all for this day. All of the heroes are watching, so I guess it's another aspect of the career we must get used to. Kirishima looks around too with a red-eyed guy with spiky platinum blonde hair. Wow. Present Mick sure loves hyping us up. Feelin' nervous, man. TCH. Not even close, the blonde responds as he lifts his head with a devilish smirk. I'm even more ready to win. Next up. They didn't get as much spotlight as their compatriots, but this next group is still loaded with talent. Say hello to the hero course, Class 1B. While Mick proceeds to announce the 3 general studies courses, the 3 support item courses, and the 3 business courses, only one 1B student had something to argue regarding the voice hero's comments on his class. Fufufu. The festival has already begun, and they're already resorting to mocking us. A big mistake on your part, pro heroes. Monoma mentions as he dramatically averts his eyes away from 1A. Endo follows behind the 1B hype man, gripping one of her hands to make sure she doesn't risk disqualification by neck chopping him. Remember what we talked about, Manama. I'm not in the mood to reel you in this early. Meanwhile, while everyone else in 1B was either admiring or growing shy of the crowd, Tokage was smiling and waving to the audience. It's a good thing the rest of the family made time to watch the festival today. Hope they're ready for it. Suddenly, before she stops in place, the girl trips on her feet with a feminine squeak. Watch out. A familiar voice comes near as he grabs Tokage's hand before she can fall over. Are you alright? Her eyes widen as she turns to see that Midoriya has saved her from a bad trip. Huh? Wah. How did you? Tokage stumbled a bit while blushing slightly before clearing her throat as she stood back up. Yo, Midoriya. Fancy meeting you here. How's it been? I'm doing well. You're not hurt, are you? Nope. Not at all. I'm good. Thanks. I should have guessed you'd reach out and save me again. Want me to keep falling for ya? Midoriya's face turned red at the idea. Huh? What? No. Why would you do that? I'm kidding. Thanks for the save. I owe you one, again. Both chuckle at the concept before Midoriya steers the conversation. So, how was training for the sports festival? Not too bad. I tried out a few new tracks in another district for training. New tracks? Do you not have one where you're from? The girl recalled why she trained in the municipal district in the first place, but didn't want him to find out. So, she fibbed a bit. Nah, the usual track was starting to bore me. Didn't want to risk getting soft before the big day. How about you, Greenie? Pretty good, all things considered. I mostly did a standard workout and went through all of my hero notes again. Wait. You just called me Greenie again. Don't you remember our last conversation? The girl's face turns cartoonish while sticking out her tongue to the side. Maybe. But the nickname suits you, am I right? Midoriya produces another comedic sweat drop. I don't even know where to begin with what you said. Anyways, how did you squeeze in some brain stuff before the festival? I know we need to keep up with our studies even though we had no classes for 2 weeks, but I don't recall there being a course where we need to take notes on heroism. Well. Remember that hero notebook you found when we first met? You mean the burnt one with the number 13? Yeah. Why? Well. The thing is. I've been observing hero fights for years, so I thought it would be a good idea to study their patterns beforehand. You know, before I go pro and start working in the field with them. Midoriya stared at the girl for a bit, who looked back with wide eyes. Is something wrong? No, not at all. I think that's pretty cool that you do that. Why you really think so? Sure do. It's about time this festival featured a genius such as yourself. Setsuna smirked as she leaned a bit closer to the fellow greenette. Izuku's cheeks bloomed red at the comment as he scratched the back of his head. I don't think that's the best way to put it. Someone then interrupts their conversation from the middle of the stadium. Now. For the introductory speech. Everyone turns to the source in question, only for most of the guys, both students and heroes, to heavily blush at the scene. At the center of the stage stood the first year's umpire, the R-rated hero, Midnight. She was a tall, voluptuous, middle-aged woman with long, thick, spiky purple hair, piercing blue eyes with a beauty mark beneath the left, and long red nails. Her costume didn't leave much to the imagination as it was made of thin, skin-tight white fabric, a black breastless leotard, transparent thigh-high black stockings, a gold and burgundy utility belt, black knee-high boots, a thin red mask over her eyes, and handcuff-shaped bracelets. To complete the look, she carried a flogger whip in her right hand. All in all, the scandalous woman before them looked less like a pro hero and more like a lead dominatrix for a local nightclub. That being said, it didn't stop the majority of heroes from staring at her with scandalous comments and whistles. Someone should talk to Ms. Midnight about what she's wearing. Yeah, no kidding. That thing needs a warning label. This is inappropriate for a high school tournament. I beg to differ. Silence, everyone. The heroine on stage calls out to the spectating crowd. We will now present our student pledge of the first year, Katsuki Bakugo. All students turned to an unamused, muscular, platinum blonde with piercing red eyes as he slowly walked up to the podium to reach the microphone. Hakin. You've got to be kidding me. Tokage snarled. Are they seriously letting him do the speech just because he scored first in the entrance exam? The other classes hate us enough already. Yours too. Tokage wanted to argue, but knew that the fellow greenette was right. Deep down, she did not wish the abuse of class wanted to persist any further. Bakugo now stood before the mic for a minute. The air fell so quiet, even a faint gulp proved audible to everyone. He then announces in a flat tone, I'm here to win. Later. All of class 1 thought the same thing as everyone else booed at him. I knew he would say something like that. What is wrong with you? Iida appears behind Bakugo while hand chopping. Why would you be so disrespectful to the rest of the students? You're supposed to be representing us all. Bakugo turns around with the same monotone while giving a thumbs down. It's not my fault the rest of you are stepping stones to my victory. Deal with it. He then trots down without another word as 1A's class rep trails behind him. That foul-mouthed freak show. Why the hell is he in the hero course? Tokage shouts, forgetting Midoriya is standing right next to her as his face goes wide over her accusation. The girl panics as she turns to the boy, sorry about that. I forgot you were still there. It's alright. I'm fine. She sighed heavily, no wonder the rest of the first years hate you guys, that cocky asshole is not doing you any favors. Haken's not being overconfident here, Tokage. There's something else going on. Huh? What do you mean? If it were that, he would have laughed while saying all of that was a joke. This is a new guy we're dealing with and a nasty one at that. Midoriya stated while squinting his eyes and clenching his fists at the blonde. Tokage noticed how agitated he was, so she placed one of her hands on his shoulder, immediately calming the boy to focus on her. Pick his ass for us. But he just called your class stepping stones. And I think Tetsu is swearing to tear him to pieces over there. Wouldn't it be better if you confronted him yourself? Don't worry about me and my class. We're way tougher than that jerk gives us credit for. Just take a stand and show the crowd what you're made of. You got this. Midoriya was stunned over the girl's choice of words, bewildered that she was cheering him on despite everything today. That said, he felt more fired up thanks to it, so he gave her a confident smile before nodding, I will. Thanks. The girl nods back, well, I gotta go check in with my class, make sure they're not stirring up too much trouble. Good luck out there. She then walks to the steel student to console him. After the introduction, Midnight takes back the microphone, anyways, without further ado, it's time to get started. This is where the pain begins. Now behold. The first fateful game of the festival. As on cue, a holographic roulette wheel appears behind the heroine, spinning between different games. What could it be, you wonder? The answer, ladies and gents, is. The wheel stops as she then announces, Ta-da. An obstacle course. Oh boy. All 11 classes will participate in this cataclysmic contest. The track you'll be running on is 4 kilometers around the outskirts of the stadium and littered with devastating challenges. I won't restrain anyone, at least not in this game. So long as you remain within the course, you're free to do as your heart desires. Now, contestants, take your places. Everyone lines up for the marked gate, signifying the start of their journey. The door counts down slowly to keep everyone on their toes. Beep. I have to be smart about this. I don't have full control over my quirk. So I need to be careful if I ever need to use it. Beep. Time to go beyond. Plus ultra. Beep. Watch over me, All Might. I'll make you proud. Beep. Begin. Everyone immediately rushes through the entrance. And we're off to a racing start. How about some colorful commentary, mummy man? Present Mick announces as he turns to his racing friend. How did you rope me into this? Tell me. What should we pay attention to for the early stages of the race? The door. What do you oh? I get it. Just as the eraser hero predicted, all of the students were crammed to the brim within the doorway. Every single one of them complained about getting squashed and trampled. Midoriya wasn't any better. As the boy squeezes closer to the front, he recalls something. Flashback. Hours great and all, but what do you do when you face off against an opponent that's smaller, faster, or even smarter, for that matter? Not to mention, villains rarely play by the rules and will take any advantage they can get their hands on. Back to the present. Now I get it. They're testing us, seeing how we'll make it through this entrance. And Midnight did say that as long as we stay on the track, then anything goes. Okay, here goes nothing. The boy starts climbing on top of the students. As soon as he stood on top of their heads and/or shoulders, he dashed forward on the humanoid track. Granted, this didn't make him any more popular with them as he received complaints during the run. Ow. Sorry. Hey. Sorry. What the hell? I'm so sorry. You one asshole. So hey. That's mean. Meanwhile, another student near the front of the crowd had a similar thought. So this is the first obstacle. Kind of underwhelming. Todoroki thought, better make this. Just as he was about to dial in and make a move, his whole world began to slow down as Midoriya landed his foot on top of his head. He then leaps off the heterochromatic teenager, out of the doorway and into the field as he shouts, sorry, Todoroki. Whoa. Looks like we've got a wild green bunny that's making a fool out of the students. Midoriya just hopped to the lead of the competition. Damn it. He's going to be out of sight at this rate. Todoroki cursed as he watched the greenet rush out on the track. Not on my watch. Suddenly, a swarm of ice coats the doorway and floor and flows out of its exit, with Todoroki skating across the newly formed terrain, exclaiming, apologies. And look at that. Class 1A's Shoto Todoroki clears the door next as he puts the rest of the competition on ice. That's one chilling entrance. Midoriya turns around for a bit to witness the mess Todoroki created before focusing on the track once again. That was too close. If I didn't get out of the crowd sooner, I would have been caked in ice like those guys. Back at the entrance, most of the students complained about having their race cut short thanks to the trap. Unfortunately for Todoroki, all of Class 1 evaded the attack, fully familiar with his plan of action. Nice try, Todoroki. Yaozu exclaimed as she produced a pole vault from the palm of her hand. You won't get away that easily, you icy hot bastard. Bakugo shouted as he flew with explosions coming out of his palms. He then glares harder, noticing the green net ahead of him. Deku. Get back here, you. I didn't expect so many people to dodge that. Especially the other classes. Todoroki noted as he watched a general corps student mount a group of students like a cavalry unit. Meanwhile, at the back of the crowd, some of Class 1B were able to escape the attack in time. Tokage, for instance, split her body to carry two of her classmates, Kendo and Fukudashi, away from the trap. Is everyone alright? She exclaimed. I think so, thanks. Kendo groaned as she released her grip on the splitting girl's legs. Okay, let's go. Tokage was about to announce the next plan of action, only to witness her classmate Hananuki soften the ground to swim across, followed by another girl with dark green eyes and vines for hair, using her quirk as stilts to traverse the ice. In complete shock, she called out to them, Hananuki. Shiozaki. What do you think you're doing? Our classmates are in trouble. Sorry Tokage. This is a competition after all. And I don't plan on losing, not to this guy. Hananuki announced as he swam across the softened ice and dirt. Forgive me. But I must punish the Iceman of Wano for imprisoning our classmates. Tokage slouched over her skull-faced and vine-haired classmates, abandoning them. Kendo, meanwhile, walked over to the girl's floating top half. I'm sure they'll be fine. This is a competition after all. Yeah. Let's just get the others out of the ice. She then turned to the student she was still carrying. Hey. Fukudashi. Can you give us a hand here and thaw the others? The comical classmate looked up to the girl as he saluted with an exclamation point appearing on his bubbly face. You got it, ma'am. Time to turn up the heat. The student took a deep breath before shouting. Sizzle, sizzle. Sizzle, sizzle. Just like that, his words came to life in the form of fiery katakana as they shot out to melt the ice and free the members of Class 1B. All of the classmates cheer for their ingenuity and selflessness. Good thinking. Kendo announced, now the whole class is free to continue the course. Thanks. Let's make sure we keep it that way. Tokage smiled as she set Fukudashi down and conjoined her body back together. At the same time, however, all of the melted ice turned into vapor and rose in the air, leaving everyone in a makeshift smokescreen. Fortunately, another student approached them from within the steam. Ah. I see now. Monoma walked to the trio with a mischievous grin. You want us to hold back while we, the rest of 1B, observe the Wano hooligans from a distance. How clever. Endo wanted to interject, but Tokage knew they didn't have time to argue. So she responds with, just copy Fukudashi's quirk and check if anyone else needs to be freed. Way ahead of you, my friend Monoma announced after touching Fukudashi's bare forearm. He then took a deep breath before shouting, swoosh. Creating a huge gust of wind to clear the fog. Meanwhile, at Midoriya's location, he and Todoroki were now face to face with the next obstacle. No way. It's the robots from the entrance exam. I should have known they would appear here. 3 gigantic green robots stood before them, all of them glaring their beady red eyes at them, ready to strike at a moment's notice. Target acquired. Oh. Looks like the guest of the next challenge has finally arrived. We're in for a treat now. Behold the test of strength and cunning, it's the robot inferno. What the crap? What are the 0-point villains doing here? Seriously? Not again. Where does the school even get the funding for these things? Momo questioned as more of the contestants came to a halt. Most of them caught up, but they were still too far away from the leading two. The rest of Class 1B was not too far behind after traversing the ice, though most still held back thanks to Monoma's insistence. So this is what everyone else faced in their entrance exams. They clearly went through a lot of trouble to set all of this up. Todoroki's voice reverberated as he walked behind Midoriya. The dual quirk user outstretched his right hand. But I wish they'd prepare something a bit more challenging. His hand touched the ground as several blocks of ice crackled around him, especially while the old man's watching. Behind you. Izuku turned around and noticed Todoroki was about to launch another icy attack and with him at point-blank range. He hopped to the left, fully knowing that staying in place would more than guarantee him losing the race. During that time, the half-and-half student fired a massive wave of ice at the robots and imprisoned the one closest to Midoriya within the frozen substance. He barely dodged the attack, but Todoroki was not too pleased with the result. Damn it. Who told Midoriya to get out of the way? No matter. I put the robots on ice. That should keep him busy for a while. Todoroki proceeds to run between the robot's legs. Yes. He stopped the robots. We can go through now. Midoriya came back to his senses as he stared at the frozen behemoth. That can't be right. Why would Todoroki freeze the zero-pointer if it means the others can go through? There has to be another motive. He looked up as he heard the ice covering the robot beginning to crack. His eyes widened at the noise. Oh crap. He then made a mad dash through the legs towards his classmate. Come on. Let's get moving, guys. Away shouted to the rest of the group. Wait. Something's not right. The headband dude turned to Tokage. The hell you talking about? The robots stopped dead in their tracks. We can slip past them now. Tokage has a point. That zero-pointer doesn't seem to be balanced at all. Both turned to witness Monoma with a more serious face. It's a trap. More and more cracking flooded their ears as all three turned back to the robot as shards of ice and metal fractured off the mechanical behemoth. What the crap is going on? I froze them while they were off their balance. On purpose, Todoroki announced ahead without looking back. As on cue, the mechanical beast begins falling to the ground. All three go wide-eyed, knowing that if this continues, it will crash into countless classmates, including their own. Tsuburaba. Give us a hand here. This got the attention of a spiky brunette with round eyes. What? Why? We need to get out of the way. There's not enough time. Make an air wall to protect the class from that thing. Both of the brunette's eyes bulged out of his skull upon hearing the request regarding the collapsing robot. Seriously. That thing's humongous. I can't block that. Just do it. It's our only chance. Tsuburaba remained stunned for quite a while, palms sweating, knees weakening, and breath shortening. Then, Monoma placed his hand on the boy's shoulder. We believe in you. Let's show those other idiots what Class 1B is capable of. Underneath the frozen zero-pointer, meanwhile, Midoriya dashed forward, trying not to think of the behemoth above him. The sounds of crackling ice and creaking metal rang in his ears as the rest of the robot plummeted to the ground. As it landed with a massive thud, a tsunami of dust, dirt, and ice rose from the earth and swallowed any unlucky student nearby. Would you look at that? Todoroki from Class 1 has stole the lead from Midoriya and is pushing on through with a devastating display of power. Is this the end for Class 1A's wildcard? What'd you say, Mr. Eraser? His attack was both offensive and defensive. A necessary strategy to take the lead. No wonder he got in on recommendations. He never fought those robos before and he's already showing them who's boss. Unfortunately for the heterochromatic student, someone coughed. That was too close. Todoroki's eyes widened as he turned around and witnessed the green-haired rival getting off the ground. I had a feeling he would do something like that. Midoriya noticed a piece of metal sticking out from the ground, likely from the fallen robot. Believing there may be more in the field, he picked up the piece of metal next to him as a makeshift weapon and dashed through the rest of the course, slaying any machine in his way. Wowie. I don't believe it. Class 1A's Midoriya survived the attack and is tailing behind his classmate as we speak. He just doesn't know when to quit, does he? Impossible. First, he dodged my ice at the entrance, and now this. This is bad. If I let up now, he'll take the lead back for good. Todoroki thinks as he runs as fast as he can with Midoriya tailing him. Back at the robot's corpse, everyone kept coughing and getting back on their feet as the dust began to settle. Class 1B seemed to be the most fortunate, as at least half of them hid behind a massive wall made of solidified air. Kendo spoke first during the aftermath. Is everyone alright? Yep. We're good. Tokage wheezed within the dust cloud. It's a good thing Monoma helped Tsuburaba with these air walls. I don't think we would have made it without them. Yufufu. Always finding a way to bring Class 1B back to the proper level. I expect nothing less from you, Deputy. Tokage smiled a bit over the compliment, only for it to disappear upon noticing something. Hold on. Where's Tetsu? As on cue, something bursts out from the carcass of ice and steel. I'm alive. Most of the class turned to witness Kirishima, who used his quirk to harden his skin to survive the collapse. Is it me, or did Tetsu turn red? Tokage, Kendo, and Awase fassip him over the question. Wrong hard man, Tsuburaba. Then, from another spot on the robotic corpse, Class 1A really is full of jerks. Tetsu reveals his true location, who used his quirk to survive in the same format. I'll smash that ice guy once I get my hands on him. Oh. There he is. Hey. Tetsu. Good to see you made it. Unfortunately, for the spiky brunette, Tetsu was too blinded by rage after the robot's collapse. Shown even more so as he tailed Kirishima while calling him a damn copycat. Wait. What are you doing, man? Come back. What the hell, Tetsu? You said you wouldn't do this. Tokage hollered. Steam erupted from her body while her teeth turned razor sharp, her eyes glowed white, and her hair spiked up from every direction of her head like a giant green flame. Man, how lucky are they? They don't have to worry about being crushed. Kaminari exclaims. Another student with lightly tanned skin, black hair tied into a low braid, and sharp reptilian eyes, responds to the electric user while extending his hand. We're racing each other, but we can team up for now. Let's carve a path. Everyone panned to witness the decision was made by none other than Class 1B's Chinese exchange student, Hiryu Rin, who activated his quirk by growing greenish scales on his left arm. Tokage was ecstatic about her classmate's decision. Finally, one of the guys is willing to cooperate with others. Then again, Rin was against the rivalry idea from the start. He's right. Come on everyone. Let's clear a path so everyone can cross. Back at the front, both Todoroki and Midoriya stood before their next challenge. A massive chasm dotted with several large plateaus, all connected with thick steel wires. For those of you who thought the first obstacle was easy, let's see how you like the next challenge. If you trip here, you're out. Get ready for the fall. Note to self, never let Vlad King name an obstacle course again. Midoriya gulped at the massive chasm. Well, there's no turning back now. He then grabs onto one of the wires and starts climbing underneath it. Todoroki, on the other hand, produced ice to railgrind across another wire. He was still holding the lead, but Midoriya was not too far behind. By the time they were halfway across the canyon, the rest of the students had finally caught up after battling robots and bypassing a zero-pointer's metallic husk. You've got to be kidding me. How are we supposed to cross that? Ashido whined. When did they have time to build this canyon? Uraraka followed. Haha. Finally. This is my chance to showcase my skills. Now my support items are gonna steal the spotlight from the wannabe heroes. Behold everyone. Observe what my brilliant gadgets can do. Both turn around to another pink-haired girl suited head to toe in gadgets ranging from goggles to massive boots. However, unlike Ashido, whose hair was short and curly with a pair of small horns sticking out, this new girl's hair consisted of thick dreadlocks reaching to her shoulders, kind of similar to a chibi octopus's tentacles. She fired a grappling hook attached to her hips to one of the platforms. Hold on. A support corps student. Why are you carrying all of that stuff? Since students from the hero course get all kinds of training for their quirks, the school decided to keep things fair by allowing us to take whatever gadgets we want as long as we have made them ourselves. The support student proudly confessed as the grappling hook continued to extend until it stopped, confirming it reached its target. This is the perfect opportunity to show off our ingenious ideas and creations to any companies looking to recruit us. I hope you're watching, dear employers. Cause my cute little babies are going to make one hell of a show. The girl activates her boots as they push her off the ground and cackles as the grappling hook pulls her forward. Uraraka charges forward as she activates her quirk on herself to float above the plateaus. I won't lose. During that time, on another section of the obstacle, Bakugo was foaming at the mouth. I flew past all of that ice and bucket heads, and I'm still behind Deku and that Isahit bastard. He saw that both Todoroki and Midoriya had finally crossed the fall, with the latter still carrying the scrap metal from the last challenge. Do they think they can beat me when this is my chance to win? Not on my watch. He fired more explosions from the palms of his hands and propelled forward while shouting, Deku. Isahit. Get back here. I'm not done with you. Todoroki and Midoriya turned around to see the explosive classmate tailing them. Hakken. Took him long enough to get fired up. You suck. Back in the crowd, everyone kept cheering on Todoroki due to the skill with his quirk, as well as his heritage as the son of Endeavor, the number 2 hero, and the only candidate closest to All Might in terms of raw firepower. As soon as the leading two reached the next course, they both stopped to catch their breath. Midoriya looked up to see the next challenge and squeaked a bit at the sight. And now, it's time for the last obstacle. Tread carefully, everyone. Cause your final challenge is a minefield. The sight before them was an open dirt field speckled with darker colored circles throughout its surface, likely the location of the mines in question. If you look carefully, those little bombs are buried in special locations, so keep your eyes on the ground, folks. Don't you worry, though. The mines are designed for the games, so the explosions aren't lethal. But they're strong enough to make you wet your pants. Get a hold of yourself, Mick. Todoroki looked up to see the field before him, so this is the final obstacle. Very clever. This will put anyone in the lead at a disadvantage. He decided it was best to walk around the mines rather than use his ice again, not wanting to set them off like the others behind him or risk clearing a path for others to cross. Meanwhile, Midoriya observed the students traverse the course with varying levels of precision. Anyone who wasn't careful was flung up into the air with a trail of pink smoke. Then, from his right, he witnessed Bakugo fly past him and over the mines. Ha ha. I got you now. The blonde announced as he flew towards Todoroki and attacked him. Bastard. You declared war on the guy here. Both proceed to trade blows with and without their powers. Just like that. Another student is threatening to take the lead. Nothing beats entertainment like an upset. Midoriya stared more at the two in disbelief. Crap. They're getting too far ahead. He clenched onto the scrap metal he was still holding and thrust it into the ground. No. This isn't over. Not on my watch. The metal sheet pierces through the dirt as he comes up with an idea. On another spot, Tokage and Fukudashi were using their quirks to get as many classmates across the minefield as possible. The girl looked to her side to witness Midoriya in front of a pile of mines. What is he doing over there? Wait a minute. Don't tell me. Thanks for the idea. Kaken. Midoriya charges forward with a metal shield in front of him and then jumps as high as he can before landing on the explosive pile. Tokage's eyes widen, knowing what will happen next. Everyone. Get down. Huh? Why? Just do it. She tackles Fukudashi to the floor all of a sudden, and as soon as everyone turned to Midoriya's direction, they followed suit. Habuam. A massive pink dust cloud erupted from Midoriya's location, gathering everyone's attention. Even Todoroki and Bakugo turned around mid-fight to witness the explosion. This was followed by a massive gust of wind pushing anyone too slow to brace for impact off their feet. What's with that huge explosion in the back? I thought Bakugo was in front of the pack. Tokage squinted her eyes shut, not wanting to get blinded. As soon as she opened them, one thing came to her mind. No way. In the air, Midoriya was flying up, using the metal sheet as a makeshift shield and glider, soaring past the rest of the competition. I don't believe it. What just happened? Yes, All Might cheered back at the stands. It looks like Class 1A's Izuku Midoriya is making another comeback and is suddenly in hot pursuit of first place. Flashback. I gotta be careful. These landmines go off if I step on them. Midoriya thought as he used his metal scrap to shovel out mine after mine. During that time, everyone was either treading the field carefully or staring for a bit, wondering what he was up to. They're not powerful on their own, but they can turn into a huge disaster if you activate multiple at once. This isn't something you can just rush through. Naturally, it's better to slow down and avoid them entirely. That will minimize injuries. Even the people with great agility can't be too reckless. Not to mention, the amount of mines is even denser at the front. No one is going to traverse this field very quickly. That said, I can use that to my advantage. Everyone was careful to avoid them at the entrance, so there are still plenty buried around here. Okay, here goes nothing. His finished product was a pile of mines grouped up at one spot. He then backs up for a bit with his shield raised, preparing for the next step. Thanks for the idea, Kaken. Go beyond. Plus ultra. He then makes a mad dash to the pile of bombs before landing on top of them. Back to present. The female greenette smirked at what Midoriya just did. Clever boy. I don't believe it. Midoriya has taken back the lead. Midoriya continues to fly over the rest of the students while using the scrap metal as a makeshift glider. Perfect. I flew over them just like I planned. But the force was much stronger than I expected and I forgot to plan out how I was gonna land. Deku? What the hell do you think you're doing, taking back the lead, huh? Bakugo yelled while propelling forward with more explosions. Todoroki, meanwhile, forged an icy path in front of him so the mines don't detonate underneath him. This path will help the others get across. But that's a risk I'll have to take if I want to keep the lead. Check out the plot twist. They're not fighting anymore. It's now a mad dash to the finish line after Midoriya, folks. Now that's what I call a competition. Suddenly, Midoriya begins to slow down as he plummets back to the ground. Oh crap. I'm running out of speed here. I gotta think of something or I'll fall behind again. Wait. I still have a chance. I need to time it right, though. The boy latches tightly onto a cable attached to the metal board as he flips forward, plants his feet onto the Class 1 arrivals, and hurls the metal plate onto the mines again with all of his might. Take this. He shouts as the scrap strikes the mine below. This set off another explosion powerful enough to not only propel Midoriya forward again, but also knock Todoroki and Bakugo off to the sides. He then rolls onto the ground, careful not to lose too much momentum, before getting back onto his feet for one last sprint. There you have it. Midoriya has blasted past his classmates from 1A and is keeping the lead all to himself. I don't believe it. He cleared that minefield in record time. Behind him, both rivals shot out of the smoke, chasing Midoriya with everything they had left. Tell me, Eraserhead. How are your students so amazing? What the heck are you teaching them? This has nothing to do with me. They are all powered by their drive to succeed. It doesn't matter what obstacle they face. These kids are insane. There's your answer, folks. These students are amazing because Eraserhead sucks. What? All three students remained in a mad dash as the finish line drew closer than ever. Who would have guessed this race would include a hodgepodge of surprises? I'm at the edge of my seat here as we speak. Before long, all three were a hair away from victory and the first person to clear the obstacle course is. Everyone held their breath, awaiting the moment of truth. The one and only. The red high top clears the finish line, Izuku Midoriya from Class 1A. The crowd went wild over the Greenet's victory. Cheers left and right roared throughout the stadium as they all congratulated the underdog, who slowed down to witness everyone shouting his name in triumph. The boy was about to burst into tears but chose to hold them in for now as he made a huge smile, pumped his right fist into the air and exclaimed, "I am here. That's the spirit, young Midoriya. I knew you could do it." The cheers were so massive that some of the pro heroes stationed as guards turned around to witness the winner of the race on screen. Huh? It's that kid from 2 years ago. Oh yeah. The one who fought the sludge monster. That's incredible. Meanwhile, Midoriya panted like crazy as he looked around the side of the stadium. He turned to All Might, who struggled to contain his excitement from the near top of the audience seating as he clapped and stood up from his seat, cheering the boy on. The tears persisted, so he used one of his hands to wipe his face as more students came barreling into the finish line. All Might thought to himself, this sports festival is a competition to showcase your skills to the world. The kind where everyone aims to be at the top. Even if it means trampling your friends and your classmates, popularity is what makes you the cream of the crop. Naturally, you'd only survive if you want to be the best. It's a cutthroat world, after all. Your core has always been helping others. That's why I chose you to be my successor, young Midoriya. Even if your selflessness proved to be a weakness as well, you proved me wrong. I'm glad I was only worried for nothing. Well done. Next time, though, dial the waterworks down a notch. He proceeds to stare down at some business core students who were debating over Midoriya's marketing potential. In another spot on the stadium, Bakugo stood alone and heavily breathing over what had happened. Deku. There's no way. Not again. I lost to both him and Isahide. And in public this time. Todoroki was also recovering in another area, utilizing the icy half of his quirk to expedite the cooling process. He then looks up to stare at Midoriya, who was watching the others flood back into the stadium before walking away. I can't believe he bested me without his quirk. No matter, I'll get him in the next round. Deku. That was amazing. Uraraka panted as she approached Midoriya. Thanks. I can't believe you got first place. I'm so jealous. How did you do that? Midoriya blushed like crazy as he wrapped his arms around his face. It was nothing. Really. Back at the finish line, Yaoi Rozu walks in heavily panting, with her UA jacket unzipped, exposing the black sports bra underneath. How could this happen? Something suddenly cackles from Yaoi Rozu's back. Turns out, Mineta hitched a ride on his classmate by attaching his purple hairballs onto her back. He showed himself proud of the achievement as he looked up to the sky with a nosebleed, 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm a genius. The ponytailed girl swatted the purple midget off her back. You are the worst. Meanwhile, at another spot, more and more Class 1B students were barreling in behind everyone from 1A, with Tokage and Fukudashi coming out last. Is that everyone? The comic boy asks as katakana for huffing appears on his face. Heh. Tokage pants as she stands back up, I think so. It's a good thing the rest of our class made it before us. Aren't you worried that you scored too low in this course? This seems like the perfect place for you to make a killing here. You could have easily scored in the top 10. Heck, maybe even first. Tempting, but I'll pass. Everyone in our class worked their butts off for this competition. It's only fair I give you guys a fighting chance with the skills I possess. During their sudden talk, the geared-up girl from the fall appears next, showing an expression between disappointment for scoring so low in the race and excitement for getting more time to showcase her babies. That's odd. I thought you only stayed behind because you wanted to observe 1A. Seriously? Why would you think that? No reason. Fukudashi produced an ellipsis on his face, hoping the girl wouldn't see through his lie. Suddenly, another blonde shoots past them, propelled by a laser from his stomach. Holy smokes. Who was that? He shouted as an exclamation point replaced the ellipsis. Both turned to witness the student clutching his stomach in pain while groaning in another language. Who's that guy? He seems French. Fukudashi wondered as the blonde student continued rolling on the grass. I think he's from 1A. It looks like he barely passed with that move. Poor guy. Fortunately, an invisible-looking person came over to check on him. Tokage then turns to Midoriya, who holds his hand in a fist while looking up for a bit. She then grinned for a moment. I had a feeling he would get first place. She lightly punched Fukudashi in the shoulder. Come on, man. Let's go check in on the others. Some time later. All of the students gather in front of the podium with Midnight at the center. That concludes the first game. What an exciting performance that was. And now for the leaderboards. The giant projector appears behind her, numbering the first 42 participants to pass the course from first to last. Group A. Izuku Midoriya number 1. Group A. Shoto Todoroki number 2. Group A. Katsuki Bakugo number 3. Group B. Ibara Shiozaki number 4. Group B. Juzo Hananuki number 5. Group A. Tenya Iida number 6. Group A. Fumikage Tokoyami number 7. Group A. Hanta Siro number 8. Group A. Ijiro Kirishima number 9. Group B. Tetsu number 10. The list continued downward until it reached Yuga Aoyama, who barely passed at rank 42. Only the top 42 will advance to the next round. But don't feel bad if you didn't cut it. We have plenty of other opportunities for you all to shine. Now, let's see what game awaits you all next. The projector spun another wheel as it cycled through dozens of potential games. Prepare yourselves for the next challenge. The wheel on the projector stopped as it displayed one name among the remaining 42 contestants. Behold. The cavalry battle. Haminari cringed at the sight. That game? You've got to be kidding me, I suck at those. Oh ho ho ho. Nice. Tsuburaba cheered in another spot in the crowd. That takes me back. Interesting, Asui added. I wonder how they'll split us up. You will all band together in teams of 2 to 4 and assemble into a horse and rider formation. Think of it as the classic playground game, but there is one key difference. Each of you has been assigned a specific point value with headbands based on your performance in the previous event. All you have to do is work together and use your quirks to steal the other team's headbands and build your overall score. The person in 42nd starts with 5 points, the person in 41st will have 10, and every subsequent placement increases your score by the same amount. That said, there's only one exception to the rule here. That is to say, the person in first place will start with. This better not be what I think it is. 10 million points. All of Izuku's adrenaline coursed from his body straight into his brain. That's right. This will be a survival of the fittest. A chance for those at the bottom to make their way to the top. He shorted out so quickly to the shock that the only thing his mouth could process was. You've got to be kidding me. Sports Festival Stadium. Midoriya panicked as he heard his name would be worth 10 million points due to scoring first place in the last game. All the other contestants surrounding Midoriya stared daggers at him. Flashbacks of his past began ringing back into his ears. The kind where everyone doubted his potential. Why did it have to be that number? This isn't junior high anymore. A lot has changed over the past 2 years. Yet, I'm a target again, and only because I scored first place through dumb luck. Is this what they meant when they said it's hard being at the top? Here are the rules. Midnight announces. The game itself will last 15 minutes. Points from each of your team members will be summed together for your team's starting number. That score will be printed on the headbands your leader will wear at the start of the game. Grab as many headbands as you can to boost your score. Any new bands you steal must be worn from the neck up. Don't worry, if your headband gets stolen or if your team falls over, you are still free to keep playing until time runs out. This will be a rough time, boys and girls, so use your quirks to your heart's content here. However, there is one rule you must abide by. If you make a team fall on purpose, I'll slap you with a red card and disqualify you. Got it? All that was heard after that was Bakugo being visibly pissed at the last rule. Now that that's out of the way, build your teams. You've got 15 minutes, so hop to it. Midoriya ponders to himself, let's see here, so there are 42 contestants left in this round, including myself. Given the rules of the cavalry battle, that implies there will be 10 to 12 teams total. Regardless of my team, my score is what everyone will be paying attention to in the end. Okay. Time to make a team. Izuku started reaching out to his classmates, but every time he did, they turned him down. Each failed attempt left him feeling more hopeless than he could ever imagine. This is bad. I can't get anyone to join my team. Not that I blame them, since it means I will be the primary target. It makes way more sense to grab any points you can by the end. And unlike Todoroki or Kaken, I didn't even use my quirk in the first round, so no one has any con. He then bumps into someone. Sorry. Midoriya panicked before turning to the student he ran into. Oh. No worries. You're good. Both soon realize who they ran into. Midoriya. Tokage. Hey. Good to see you, man. Congrats on scoring first in the last game. Oh. Thank you. It's good to see you made it too. I saw you barely passed in the last round. What happened? The obstacle course seemed to be up your alley. I had no problem with the course. Just wanted to make sure the rest of my class survived. They worked just as hard to get here, after all. Oh. That makes sense. Midoriya gulps loudly before making a request. So. Do you want to team up? Oh. I was going to, well. I understand. The male greenette falls into a slump with a gloomy cloud above his head. This is what I get for not using my quirk at all in the last round. The girl waved both of her hands, not wanting Midoriya to blame himself for the rejection. No. No, no, no. It's not that at all, Midoriya. I swear. Huh? Then what is it? Well. The thing is Tokage was about to mutter her answer, only for someone else to join the conversation. Hey. Deku. There you are. Uraraka pops in from the side. Uraraka. Why are you here? Midoriya squeaked upon turning to his classmate and jumped a bit closer to the other greenette. I want to team up with you, that's why. Uraraka smiled at the prospect. She then grows curious upon spotting the other girl. Oh. You found a teammate already? The two fall into a panic, each trying to explain to themselves that they only bumped into each other while searching for teammates to partner with. However, they stumbled and talked over each other so much that neither answer could even translate as jargon. Uraraka stared back, dumbfounded over their initial answer. Wait, what? Midoriya and Tokage sweated over everything they said, though they were relieved Uraraka didn't comprehend what they were talking about. Tokage shifts closer to the boy and quietly asks, what do we do now? She's going to get the wrong idea at this rate. I'm not sure, Izuku whispered. Let's start from the beginning and go from there. It might help our case. Meanwhile, back at the teacher's stands, All Might analyzed his protege's strategy now that everyone will be targeting his score. That's odd. Why is young Midoriya teaming up with young Tokage from Class 1B? I get that he would struggle with the next round. After all, when you're at the top, everyone will be gunning for your position, so it's a safe bet to work with people you are familiar with. But this seems a little unorthodox. Is it possible that he plans to team up with her because of his unfamiliarity with the other hero class? Back at the main field, Uraraka's face lit up upon hearing the two greenettes out. Oh. I get it now. You're Deku's friend from 1B. Sorry about getting confused earlier, Tokage. Yeah, that's me. It's a pleasure to meet you, Uraraka. Wait a minute. Why did you call Midoriya Deku? Isn't that the same name Bakugo calls him? It is. I like the name, though. It gives off a you can do it vibe, so it kinda stuck around. Tokage turns to Midoriya, can you give some context here? Well, when we were young, Deku started as something Kakin called me to make fun of me. It was his way of calling me weak or useless. But thanks to Uraraka, I started to see the name in a new light. Now I'm starting to despise this Bakugo character. Tokage thought as she produced a comedic sweat drop and turned back to Uraraka, that explains a lot. Then, a thought came into the brunette's mind upon discovering Deku's new friend. Wait. I have an idea. Let's all team up. You can't be serious, Uraraka. I have 10 million points to worry about. As long as we all run away, then we win, right? Tokage hopped in with her thoughts, not to be a downer about this, but Midoriya needs more than speed if he's going to win. I know. That's why it's better to team up with people you like. Tokage went wide-eyed over Uraraka's answer as she gawked. You can't be. That's your takeaway. We just met each other. How's this supposed to work? We both know Deku, and he told me what a good person you are. It should still be possible. Only groans spawned from the female greenette's mouth from here on out. A similar situation happened with Midoriya as he understood both viewpoints. Then, something dawns on him. Flashback. Aren't we all competing against each other in the sports festival? We are, but that doesn't mean we can't grow stronger together. Even if we're in different classes, cooperating will be a lot better for everyone in the hero course down the road. Back to the present. Wait. I think Uraraka's onto something. Huh? What do you mean, Deku? Communication will be the deciding factor for this round. Look around us. Everyone else is playing it safe by teaming up with classmates. They're not familiar with what quirks or other abilities exist, so their knowledge is limited to half the contestants at most. But, since we know each other despite being in separate classes, we can counter pretty much everyone. Oh yeah. That's right. Tokage is in 1B, so she knows pretty much everyone there. That means if we team up, we'll have an easier time avoiding them as well. Good thinking, Deku. Midoriya nods at the sentiment before turning to the greenette, and besides, you said it yourself. Classes A and B will be stronger if we work together. This can be your chance to prove it to everyone. Oh my gosh. You want to work with us despite the class rivalry. That's amazing. Satsuna utters, I don't think I should. Come on. This could be your chance to prove our classes can get along. Please. Tokage wanted to oppose, but soon realized Uraraka was right. Oh geez. What am I thinking? I wanted our classes to get along, and here I was, about to join Kendo's team, just like the others. I'm such an idiot. What's the point in standing up for a belief I won't back up? I better fix this. Thus, Satsuna caved in. You know what? What the heck? I guess I can mix things up. I'm in. Nice. We got a third member. Uraraka cheered. Oh my gosh. Thank you Tokage. Thank you. Midoriya followed as tears erupted from his eyes. Tokage grinned a bit over her new teammate's praises. Well. I asked for this to happen. I might as well see it to the end. I didn't expect Midoriya to cry like that. Then again, everyone's gunning for his score, so I guess I can't blame him for being stressed out. Uraraka pumped her fist into the air as she turned around. Alright. All we need to do now is get Iida, and we're all set. Midoriya stopped the tear ducts upon hearing this. I don't think that's going to be possible, Uraraka. Huh? What do you mean, Deku? Well, for one. Iida joined another team. Midoriya points in the direction where he spotted their friend alongside Todoroki, Yaoi Rozu and Kaminari. Oh, darn. That's not good. Tokage threw in her 2 cents, not wanting the brunette to commit to something irrational. Midoriya's right, even if Iida were available, we can't bring him in given our current setup. Think about it. We're starting with the highest valued headband, which means our priority is to protect it at all costs to remain in first place. Unless one of us can provide a strong enough defense to keep the other teams at bay, we'll not only lose our points in an instant, but won't be able to get them back. Oh, right. I didn't think about that. Midoriya then adds his comments while looking around some more. Yeah, that makes sense. And to add insult to injury, a lot of the heavy hitters from Class 1 have already formed teams with each other. Our only hope is to find someone from Class B who can serve as a defense specialist. What do you think, Tokage? Does anyone come to mind? The girl in question puts one of her hands underneath her chin to help with brainstorming. I can think of a few guys, but defense is a broad term in our case. We need someone with a good amount of range to ward off enemy attacks. Yeah, and with a variety of potential quirks, we might find some that can also serve a secondary function. Exactly. Not to mention, anyone we don't take will count as another obstacle we need to watch out for. So we'll need someone who can adapt to quirks from both classes in an instant. Like someone with an omnidirectional power. Wait, could you two slow down a bit? Uraraka tried to butt in. Did you say omnidirectional? What are you two trying to look for? Unfortunately, both greenettes remained in a muttering banter. Oh. They're completely ignoring me. That's okay, I guess. At least they get along well. A couple of minutes later, inspiration struck Tokage. I got it. I know just the guy. She announced as she slammed one of her fists into her palm. Huh? Can you fill me in on what your plan is? Both students shift their gaze to Uraraka with Midoriya summarizing their talk. Oh. Tokage found someone who can serve as our fourth teammate. Really? Who is it? Wait here. It'll be easier to explain if I bring him over. Tokage replies before separating the top half of her body to float into the air and begin searching. The move did freak out Uraraka, though, as she mutters, what the did she just cut herself in half? Yep. That's Tokage's quirk, Lizard Tail Splitter. It lets her divide her body into multiple pieces that fly around at will. It's pretty amazing, am I right? Why yeah. Elle looks super cool. Uraraka tries to reply enthusiastically, well, Deku didn't freak out about it. I should have guessed that would happen. Midoriya stares back at the different teams he will have to contend with, so it will all begin soon. Everyone's an enemy, and I'm at the top. No matter what happens, I'm their primary target. I hope this setup works. 30 seconds pass, and Tokage's upper half is still out there. Huh. She's been gone for a while. Yeah. Do you think she found him? Found him. Tokage exclaimed, freaking out the two Wana students as they turned around at her voice. Who did you find? Uraraka asks before looking up in awe and shock. Midoriya, Uraraka. Meet our fourth teammate. Sometime later. Ooh. Time's up, everyone. Midnight cheers as the timer beeps at 0. Let's get this party started. Over at the radio station, Mick wakes up Eraserhead to prepare him for the next round. After 15 minutes to pick teammates and strategies, we now have 12 cavalry teams ready to go head to head. Eraserhead looks a bit forward to witness the groups before him. I see some unusual student combinations. Especially Midoriya's. What is he thinking with that setup? Come on, everyone. Put your hands in the air for the next round. It's time for a UA Battle Royale. Let me hear you scream. Everyone cheered at the top of their lungs for the newly formed teams, most of whom showed expressions of varying confidence. Tetsutetsu's team, for instance, had most of their members look ready to crush 1A. It made sense given his teammates included Shiozaki, Hananuki and Awase, all of whom scored highly in the last game. Yo, Tetsutetsu. Huh? The Steel Boy wondered as he gazed at Monoma's team, which consisted of Kurwaro, Tsuburaba, and another guy with short dark brown hair and dark eyes. No hard feelings, okay? Not at all. Let's do this. Tetsutetsu announced. Then, as soon as the blonde turned his head to Team Midoriya, his blood ran cold as he twitched both of his eyes. Tokage. Why the hell are you with those wanted degenerates? During the cheers and Monama's grudge, Izuku wraps the headband worth 10,245 points around his forehead. Below him stood Kajiro Bondo, the student Tokage recommended for their team. However, what made their setup bizarre was that rather than have all three teammates assist their rider like the others, they opted to have Bondo carry all three teammates at once, with Tokage on Midoriya's right and Uraraka on his left. The male greenette blushed heavily over the idea of being sandwiched between two pretty girls, but chose to ignore it to maintain his cool. You ready, Uraraka? Yeah. Tokage? Let's go. Bondo? I'll do my best. Let's do this, everyone. Hope you're ready with your team's cause, this is going to get wild. Just get the round going already. Let's have one final countdown before the game begins. 3. Bedam Bakugo growled. 2. These hours Todoroki declares as he squints his eyes at Midoriya. 1. We'll see about that, Midoriya replies as he leans forward. Begin. All of the teams rush into Midoriya's in a mad frenzy, freaking out the boy. It's one big battle for the first place headband. Let's get him. Tetsu shouted at the top of his lungs. Ha 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 ha. You're mine now, Midoriya. An invisible girl shouted above her team of Wana students. Unfortunately, her battle cry came out as less intimidating and more scandalous thanks to her decision to remove her UA jacket, which made her invisible from the waist up if you ignore her headband. Guys. See, can we go now? Bondo freaked out. Not yet. Wait for our signal. Tokage patted the tall man. This is it. Ready. Achako thought as everyone drew closer to them. Once they were close enough, Hananuki from Tetsu's team softened the ground with his feet as the effect spread towards them. Upon noticing the attack, Midoriya shouted, Uraraka. Now. Right. The girl replies as she activates her quirk on the entire team by touching each of them with all 5 fingers on one of her hands. As soon as that happened, everyone started to feel weightless, prompting Bondo to leap off the ground just as the softening effect reached his feet. That was too close. At least we know what that guy's quirk can do. Tokage's team is getting away. Damn it. After them. Jiro. On it. Jiro responded to the invisible girl as she flew her earphone jacks towards the leading quartet. Unfortunately, before they could close in, Bondo spewed a glue-like substance from his 7 eye holes, which, while it warded off the jack girl, also served a secondary function of propelling Midoriya's team further away from their attackers. Jiro jumped back squeamishly as soon as Bondo's glue splashed nearby her. Gross. What is that stuff? Nice going, Bondo. That was a brilliant move to use your quirk for both defense and thrust. It was just what we needed. Huh? Oh, thanks Midoriya. I'm happy you found the move useful. Bondo muttered while bashfully looking away from the other male on the team. Midoriya then turns to his right, Tokage. Do you see anyone tailing us from below? The female greenette splits off both of her eyes to check the surrounding area underneath them. Certain that no one was following them, she responded with, nope. We're all good here. Bring us down, Uraraka. On it. Get ready for landing, guys. Uraraka chants as she presses all of her fingertips together to deactivate her quirk. Tokage, Uraraka, Bondo. Your quirks are so amazing. Bondo then lands onto the ground with a massive thud, kicking up a small cloud of dust around them as they dash out of the fog. So, how do you like the progress so far? If we keep this up, first place will be ours. It's amazing, Tokage. You're a genius to make this team setup and strategy. I couldn't have made it this far without you. Aw, thanks. You're such a sweet talker. You know that. Tokage grinned while lightly blushing and scratching the back of her neck. Midoriya blushed too at the compliment as he covered his face with his hands while looking away. It was nothing. Uraraka did not enjoy the interaction as she turned her head away from the two while puffing her cheeks. Hey. I'm the one making everyone float here. They're not too far away. Come on, guys. The invisible girl shouted, not wanting to miss the opportunity for first place. Wait. Hagakure. Your headband's gone. Exclaimed one of her rear teammates. What? When did that happen? She squealed upon touching the top of her head. No. 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 Where did it go, guys? Fufu. Too easy. Monoma snickered as he twirled the girl's headband around his finger. Hey Monoma. Tsuburaba wondered, any reason why we're not pining after Tokage's team? You looked pretty ticked off upon noticing her with the one guys. I'll deal with that traitor at another time. She's far too clever to duel in our current condition. Besides, I have a better way to get us all into the next round. Wowie. It's not even 2 minutes and everyone's already at each other's throats. Better watch those headbands, kids. Cause even if you don't get the 10 million points, you can still qualify for the next round if you go after the other chart toppers. Team Midoriya proceeds to run some more, evading team after team. Unfortunately, their movement came to an abrupt halt as soon as Bondo stepped on something. Whoa. The yellow giant shouted before catching himself with his other foot, careful not to drop his teammates. What's wrong, Bondo? You're not hurt, are you? Midoriya wondered, to which the teammate replies, I'm fine. I think I snagged my foot on something. Can someone take a look? Both Tokage and Uraraka looked down, noticing that Bondo's left shoe was trapped by a sticky purple orb the size of a grapefruit. Tokage freaked out first, what is that thing? Noticing her teammate's confusion, Uraraka answers, that's one of Mineta's balls. He must have thrown it while we were distracted. Tokage cursed under her breath before detaching both of her hands and head to float towards the giant's left shoe. I'll get him out of here. You two watch our backs while I untie his shoe. You good with that, Bondo? Do what you have to. I'm okay with that. She looks down at the scene, only to internally curse, crap. Why did it have to be a double knot? Better make this quick before getting to work. Wahahahaha. Prepare yourselves. For this isn't a fight. It's a massacre. That one sentence garnered both Midoriya's and Uraraka's attention towards a gigantic student wearing a mask over the lower half of his face, with 6 massive arms joined together through flesh-like webbing. He was currently using most of his arms to cover something above him like an organic tent. Huh? That's Mineta's voice, but I only see Shoji over there. What's going on? Midoriya noted as he heard yelling from another team on the opposite end, shoot. Tetsu's team. They found us. Tokage. Hurry. Uraraka pleaded. Hold on. I'm going as fast as I can. The other girl retorted as she was still struggling with the knot. Both Midoriya and Uraraka sweat heavily as they hear Mineta's voice once again. Hi Midoriya. They soon figure out that Mineta was hiding within Shoji's arms the whole time. To make things worse, a long tongue sprouted from within the hiding spot, barely missing Midoriya, Tokage, and Tetsu in the process before reeling back in, which could only mean one thing. Oh man. Asui's in there too. I told you to call me Tsu, Ribbit. Hope you had your fun between the chicks, you bastard, cause you're going to pay with those 10 million points in full. Mineta cried out in jealousy over Izuku's position. Both he and Asui proceed to attack again, with the former tossing more purple balls at his opponents and the latter firing her tongue again. Team Mineta's coming in hot like a tank while making clever use of their quirks. Oh crap. I got it. The glue giant responded as he formed a glue wall towards the assaulting team, effectively stopping both the balls and tongue. Then Team Midoriya counters the assault thanks to Bondo's Playmo powers. Damn it. He's thought of everything. Mineta gritted his teeth. Asui follows along with the sentiment as she uses her gym jacket to clean off the excess glue, coating her appendage. Ugh. And I got glue all over my tongue. I'd better wipe this off before I accidentally digest it. At that same moment, Tokage unties the last knot in Bondo's left shoe while returning her pieces to her main body, all done. We're free to go now, guys. Midoriya nods to the announcement, right. Let's get out of here. Uraraka activates her quirk on the team, prompting Bondo to jump away with one less shoe. The brunette notes, that was too close. Sorry, we had to get rid of your shoe, Bondo. It's alright. I packed plenty in my locker for times like these. My Semidine quirk is good at messing up clothes, so it's nice to have some spares. The girl sighs in relief that the giant 1B student came prepared. Suddenly, some explosions grab her attention. Oh. We got company. All 4 turn to witness Bakugo propelling himself in the air. Oh crap. Kaken. Don't think you're safe from me, Deku. You're mine. I don't believe it. Bakugo jumped off his horses. Is that even allowed? It is, Mick. As long as he doesn't touch the ground, Bakugo's team is still in the game. Bondo. Tokage shouts, prompting the glue giant to shoot glue at the explosive teen. The Semidine Colossus produced so much of the substance that it not only stopped Bakugo's explosions, but also coated him from the waist up. What the hell is this crap? Get it off of me. Bakugo shouted as a stream of tape caught him before reeling him onto his teammates, who consisted of Kirishima on the front, Ashido on his right, and a dark-haired teen with tape dispensers for elbows on the left. Fortunately, the glue hardened before the tape teen caught him, so it didn't transfer into his clothes. Whoa. Nice catch, Zero. Too bad we have to clean off that junk from our leader now. Yeah, no kidding. Can you give us a hand here, Ashido? Sure can. I'll melt this stuff off in a jiffy. However, before the pink girl could activate her quirk, Bakugo grunted with all of his might before using his explosions to liberate himself from the artificial glue shell. He then climbs back on top before shouting, after them. That glue-fied golem isn't going to get away with this. That was too close. Are you alright, Bondo? You're starting to slow down here. Midoriya asks his teammate as they land back onto the ground. I am fine, Midoriya. Just a bit spooked by that Bakugo person, that's all. Are you sure it's not because you're carrying all three of us? Uraraka chimed in, you can put Tokage and me down if you want to. No. Don't worry. I'm fine. I made a promise to carry all three of you at the start and I'm going to keep it. Flashback. Back during the team setups, Tokage introduced Midoriya and Uraraka to her classmate, Kijiro Bando. She proceeded to explain how his quirk works, which was that he can fire a liquid glue-like substance from his face. That said, Midoriya did have a question. Okay. I can see why you picked him. So, how are we going to set up the horse formation? Bando's super tall and perfectly fits at the front, but that will limit the visibility of both you and Uraraka. Good point. We could have him lean forward or even squat, though that will limit his mobility. Tokage added. What if we just grab onto his legs? Uraraka pondered, that way, we can let Bando move freely without limiting our sights. Bando's not that tall. Besides, don't you need both of your hands to use zero gravity effectively? You might accidentally make him weightless if you wrap your arms around him. Oh, yeah. I almost forgot. Then, Bando chimes in, hey guys. I may have an idea that could work. All three turn to the giant of 1B, What's your idea, Bando? Well, what if I carry all three of you on my back? That way, my height won't get in the way and you three can use your quirks as much as you like. That sounds like a good idea, but wouldn't that tire you out? We don't know if your back has enough room for two of us, let alone everyone here. You might even need to hold someone in your arms. Yes. I'm sure. My quirk, Semidine, allows me to shoot glue from the orifices on my face. However, I am not limited to one type. I have complete control over its viscosity, tensile strength, and even the curing rate. But the substance only comes out from my face and not my arms, legs, or any other body part. If I have to use both of my arms to carry you guys, that won't be a problem for me. Wow. Okay, then. If you insist. Thanks for the idea, Bando. Thanks, I'm happy to help, that's all. Bando nervously replied before thinking, I suppose it was a good idea to follow Tokage after all. Back to the present. Whoa. Is he always like this? Midoriya wondered. Not really. I've never seen Bando this determined before. Tokage noted as she grew impressed by the guy's level of bravery. Is it possible Midoriya is rubbing off on him? Well, regardless, we made it to halftime with our initial score, so that's a good sign. Just need to keep this up and first place should be all ours. As expected, everyone's still after the first place team and giving them no time to breathe. What a show. Now that it's halftime, let's take a look at the scoreboard of all of the teams so far. The projector shows the current scores on screen, only for the entire audience to grow flabbergasted at what they're witnessing. As it currently stood, Midoriya's team was in first place, followed by Monomaa, Tetsutetsu, Kendo, Todoroki, and Rin, with everyone else having a score of 0. That's weird. Other than Midoriya's team, Class 1 isn't doing so hot. What's going on here? Even Team Bakugo has it rough. Meanwhile, Monomaa whirls another headband as his group waltzes away from their last target, Team Bakugo. Your class is too small-minded. You should consider thinking bigger. No way. He got our headband. Ashido shrieked as Bakugo turned to the 1B team, what did you say? Get back here. Sorry. That's not going to happen. Midnight said the obstacle course was only the first game and we had a feeling they wouldn't cut all of us right off the bat. So, assuming at least 40 contestants survive for the next event, all we had to do was hold back until we had our opportunity to shine. Not to mention, since we had a few members make the middle ranks, we were easily able to study your patterns while one pursued the top. You've made a grave mistake going for first place in the preliminary rounds. I hope you're proud of yourself. Bakugo grits his teeth even harder as he utters, you planned this as a class this whole time. Not all of us. Though I'd say the ones that did got the job well done. An unnamed brunette underneath him whispers, hey, quit stalling. They're coming for us. Patience, Kabara. We'll get there. After all, what else can I say but that this is the same guy who was kidnapped by the sludge monster 2 years ago. You'll have to tell me more about it. Being a damsel must be quite terrifying for the likes of you. Oh well, maybe some other time. Monomaa's team finally leaves, with half of them muttering how their leader shouldn't waste his time monologuing his opponents. Hiroshima. New plan. Forget Deku. Let's kill these 1B idiots first. Then we'll go after the rest of them. Bakugo demonically mutters before setting his sights on the 1B blonde. The aura grew so dark that all three teammates halted in their tracks. However, their leader despised this behavior and shouted, what are you waiting for? Get them. Prompting them all to charge. Back at Midoriya's location, holy, whoa. Class 1B had a long-term strategy that involved the last round. That would leave a lasting impression with the audience. He then recalls two of his teammates, did you and Bando know about this? Tokage snarled at the accusation while crossing her arms in an X formation. For your information, I never agreed to anything Monoma said. I may have spied on a few of you guys, but only to make sure your classmates don't end up harming my own. Oh. That makes sense. Sorry if what I said sounded a bit insensitive. Tokage huffed as she calmed down, it's fine. He's been giving us trouble since day one anyway. He got Bakugo's attention alongside some other guys from my class. We can use that to our advantage. At this rate, they won't come for our headband for the rest of the match. We can rest a bit easier now. Yeah. That makes sense. It's never a good idea to provoke him, especially in a competition. Midoriya responded as he huffed a visible sigh. Then, Team Todoroki pops in front of them, their leader glaring icicles at the male greenite. Oh great. Look who finally decided to show up. Tokage groaned, get ready, guys. The other three nod as President Mick continues to announce the halftime reports, with Todoroki preparing his right hand to make a move. I'll be taking that headband, now Todoroki announces. Geez. What's his beef with you, Midoriya? Did you kill his dog or something? No. Todoroki declared war on me this morning. Keep your guards up. We'll jump away at my signal. Now, Iida. Charge. Todoroki declared. Yes sir. Iida activates his quirk as the boosters from his calves ignite into a roaring orange. Midoriya stares intensely at the team before him, alongside at least 4 other teams at their flanks. Then, Yayoi Rozu created a massive blanket from her bare midsection that Todoroki grabbed to shield the group, followed by a grounding wire she planted into the ground with her right arm. Their last teammate, Kaminari, glowed yellow with sparks all over his body as he chanted, indiscriminate shock. 1.3 million volts. Jump. Bondo bounced as high as he could thanks to Uraraka's assistance. All of the groups who were woefully unprepared remained stunned at their location, some of them even cursing at the electric user. Not this time. Todoroki shouts as he covers the grounding wire in ice, which spreads to the 4 teams. That should keep them busy. Let's move. Look at that, folks. He stopped all 4 of those teams cold in their tracks. Yes. But only after Kaminari immobilized the students with his electricity. He's adapting since the last round. Nice commentary, mummy man. That said, only one team managed to adapt in time. Aizawa added as he observed Midoriya's team still in the air. They were using Bondo's quirk to thrust themselves away from Todoroki as well as parry their attacks. This is bad, Deku. Iida's too fast for Bondo to target with his quirk. And we can't touch the ground or else Kaminari will shock us into submission. This is a terrible matchup. Tokage intervenes with her thoughts, I don't think that's the best way to put it, Uraraka. Huh? What do you mean? Kaminari isn't the one we should be worried about. Yamomo is. The only reason we're still in the air is because she hasn't created anything to pull us back down. If we get too close to Todoroki's group, she might produce a cable to drag us out of the air or worse. Unless another team intervenes, staying far away and in the air is all we can do. Assuming Bondo doesn't start having problems from overusing his quirk. She then looks at the Goliath below her, whose face is starting to grow pale. Hang on a little longer, big guy. Just 5 more minutes to go. Suddenly, Bondo stops floating, bringing Tokage out of her thoughts. Huh? Why are we stopping all of a sudden? Uh-oh. Team Midoriya is cornered. Tokage turns around, noticing they were inches away from clearing the border. Shit. So much for running away. And Bondo is starting to tucker out here. Midoriya looks at Bondo's face and freaks out upon noticing how dry his face has become. Oh no. His face is cracking up. That must be a side effect of overusing his quirk. So much for relying on glue propulsion. She turns to the boy, so what do you say? Another jump? Yeah. We'll need to be careful with where Bondo jumps exactly. Todoroki used his ice to wall off our flanks so we can't run away from him again. Our only hope is to hurdle over Todoroki's team until time runs out. If possible, let's stay in the air for as long as we can in case Kaminari tries something. Tokage silently nodded to the idea. They proceed to leap over Todoroki's team over and over again. Every time Iida charged at them, Bondo evaded the entire group. It was starting to annoy the half-and-half user more, especially given they had about 1 minute left on the clock. He keeps jumping over me, no matter how many times we close in on him. Damn it. At this rate, he'll secure first place again. I can't let that happen. Todoroki, I have an idea. I'm going to do something that will render me immobile for the rest of the game, but it'll secure our win for sure. What's the plan, Iida? What are you going to do? Just sit tight. Get that headband and I'll handle the rest. Iida announces as he fires all of his engines even hotter than before. Torque over. Reciproburst. He rockets his entire team at a blinding speed. Midoriya's group was helpless as Todoroki sped past him and swiped the headband clean off his forehead. What just happened? That was one hell of a blur from Team Todoroki. And they secured the 10 million points. Holy smokes. What the hell? Where did that speed come from? Tokage exclaimed as she reattached her head after dodging the assault. She turns to Midoriya, who was equally shocked. Did you know he could do that? No, I've never seen Iida use that move before. He must have developed it while we were training for the sports festival in secret. I knew Iida was determined to win and take our headband, but this is taking things to another level. What an upset. Todoroki's team is now in first place and Midoriya's doesn't have diddly squat. After them. Midoriya shouted before Tokage interrupted, wait. That won't work. Huh? What do you mean? We have to get our points back. I know. But we didn't plan how to recollect our points against someone faster than us. Besides, there's no way Todoroki is keeping the 10 million points without hiding them. Midoriya comes to his senses, realizing that she was right. He knew hiding the values of the headbands was a valid strategy as long as they remained from the neck up. Uraraka chimes in, then let's grab as many headbands as we can carry. Surely one of them is our old headband. No way. That's too risky. Todoroki will freeze us if we get too close. Tokage adds in, now biting her nails. She tried super hard to come up with a new strategy, but all she could come up with were blanks. Come on, Tokage. Think. 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 What are we gonna do? During that time, Midoriya noticed something. That's odd. Why are his legs smoking? Is this a side effect of using reciproburst? It doesn't seem like he can do it more than once in that condition. Wait. That's it. Eyes. I have an idea. Both girls and Bondo turn to Midoriya, who now has a more serious look on his face. We still have a chance to take the headband back. But I need everyone's help here to pull it off. You can't be serious. What if Iida runs off again? Heck. What if one of the other guys immobilizes us? Unless we skedaddle and grab points from another team, we're done for. No, he won't. Midoriya declared, shocking Tokage. What do you mean he won't? Look over there, the one for all user points towards Team Todoroki, specifically Iida. I don't know how Iida acquired this new move to make himself faster than usual, but it's not something he can do repeatedly, given the smoke sputtering from his legs. Kaminari and Yaoi Rozu aren't doing so hot either. They're losing focus after using their quirks for so long. The only one who still poses a potential threat to us is Todoroki, but as long as we stay on his left side and grab the correct headband, we can take back the 10 million without them pursuing us again. Uraraka grew determined at this, right. Let's get the points back, Deku. I know we can do it. This bewilders Tokage as she asks, do you even know if Midoriya's plan is going to work? Yes. I believe in Deku. He never gives up, no matter how bad the odds are. If he has a way for us to secure first place, then I'm going to help him no matter what. The female Greenette's eyes remained wide upon hearing this, before shifting to Bondo when he spoke, I think we should go with Midoriya's plan. He hasn't failed us yet, and I don't want to disappoint him now after all the progress we've made. I'm ready when you are, sir. Tokage took a deep breath, knowing that she was the only one left to agree to the idea. Alright. What's the plan? We'll charge at Todoroki, but keep their focus on me. Tokage, split off both of your eyes and hands, and search for the headband within the pile. Bondo, if any of the teammates try anything, shoot them with as much glue as you can. Once I'm close enough, Tokage will swipe back the 10 million points, then we'll make a run for it with Uraraka's zero gravity. How does that sound? Tokage nods to the idea, deciding that the gambit may be their last chance to pass. I can work with that. Though, how are you going to distract Todoroki for long enough? Leave that to me, Midoriya announces as his right arm starts glowing with red streaks and green sparks. He put all of his focus into taking me down. Let's use that against him. All three nod to the idea as Uraraka shouts, charge. Let's get our points back. They close in on Todoroki's team, surprising all four of them with their final gambit. Like he planned, Midoriya forced all of the teammates to focus on him by activating one for all, while Tokage's pieces snuck around undetected. Once he was close enough to the half-and-half student, Todoroki instinctively activated the flames on his left side. Midoriya took notice and swiped his hand at Todoroki's neck, snuffing them out in seconds. What is he doing? And why am I using his side? Tokage. Now. Then, from behind Todoroki, the splitting Greenette yanks the headband marked for 10 million points as she floats her pieces back to her main body. Got it. Let's get out of here. Upon hearing this, Bondo makes a mad dash away from the enemy team as Todoroki asks, they did all of that for a headband. Unbelievable. Todoroki. We've got a problem. Huh? What's wrong, Yaoi Rozu? The pony-tailed girl slowly turns to her partner on top, our 10 million points. It's gone. They took it back. Todoroki checks all of the headbands around his neck, noticing the most valuable one is now missing. He then shifts to Team Midoriya, who is now reattaching his headband around his neck and then focusing his attention on Tokage. Now I get it. He never planned to take the headband back by himself. He was creating a diversion and let Tokage handle the rest. Damn it. I was so focused on him, I forgot about how dangerous her quirk is in this situation. What a recovery from 1A. Well, Team Bakugo stole their points back from Team Monoma. Team Midoriya is back in the lead with their 10 million. That was awesome. I never knew you were such a strategist, Midoriya. Major props. Thanks. I just hope our efforts are enough so nobody else comes after us. Suddenly, Bondo falls forward and lands on one knee, shocking the trio above him. Oh my gosh. Bondo. I'm okay. The yellow giant wheezed, I'm okay. Don't worry about me. Hold on a little longer. We're almost done. Midoriya begged, not wanting his teammate to faint early. Gee guys. Bakugo's coming back around, Uraraka utters as she notices Bakugo fly up in the air once again. He propels himself towards Midoriya, exclaiming, Deku. This isn't over. That 10 million is mine. Uh-oh. Bakugo's not done yet. Only 10 seconds are left and he still has his eyes peeled for first place. Oh no. What do I do now? Bondo is too tired to move. Midoriya gawks at Bakugo before looking at his shaking fist. I have no choice. I need to use one for all and shoot him away. He raises his fist towards the blonde as he cocks his middle finger back, letting the power flow within the appendage, then it hits him. Wait. He's too far away. I'll have to use my full power to reach him. But what if I hurt him too much with the blast? What if I hit one of the spectators instead, or even the ice behind him? No. I gotta focus. It's now or never. You're dead. Bakugo shouts as he inches closer to the green team. Everyone sweats bullets over the explosive teen's tenacity. And then. Time's up. The explosive teen stops dead in his tracks as he falls face first into the ground. And with that, folks, the second round has come to an end. The three members of Team Midoriya slide off Bondo, with the latter getting on all fours. Uraraka turns to her giant teammate, Bondo. Are you okay? The bulky student wheezes, yeah, I'm fine. Just a bit winded, that's all. Meanwhile, both greenettes slouch in unison while huffing visible puffs of air. That was too close. I thought I was a goner. Yeah. No kidding. I think I had enough close encounters with that bomber guy for one day. Over where Bakugo flopped, his teammates rushed over to him. Bakugo. You okay there, man? The platinum blonde grumbled super loud while slamming one of his fists into the dirt repeatedly. Thanks to witnessing the scene firsthand, Zero quipped, I'll take that as a no. And Todoroki's team, the leader got off his teammates, muttering, damn it. He beat me to the punch again. Now, let's take a look at who our top 4 teams are. In first place, we got Team Midoriya. Hell yeah. We're in, guys. Setsuna cheered while pumping both of her fists next to Midoriya. She turns to the boy and raises one of her hands for a high five up top. But immediately stops as she notices Midoriya's head facing the ground. Greenie. Are you okay? The boy slowly grins as wide as possible while turning to the girl, Tokage. He rapidly wraps his arms around her with tears of joy sprouting from his eyes. Thank you. We won first place because of you. Thank you so much. Tokage tries to maintain her cool over the fact that Midoriya was embracing her like he hadn't seen her in years. Yeah. Thanks. It was. But it was slowly failing as her face glowed red, her hair flew in every direction, and steam erupted from her ears as she thought, OHHHHMYYYY good. He's as hard as a rock under those clothes. Why didn't anyone tell me he's ripped? Should we join them? Uraraka asks from nearby, heavily blushing over Midoriya hugging another girl in front of her. Give me a minute. My head's still spinning. Bondo replies as he turns his head up to the green duo, that's odd. I've never seen Tokage turn into a rhubarb before. Yeah. Me neither, Uraraka follows as she stares blankly at the scene, he's hugging her. Just like that. In second place, it's Team Todoroki. We ended in second place. I never should have underestimated those 4. Yayoi Rozu noted, fully ashamed of their hollow victory. I apologize. I let everyone down, didn't I? Iida gritted his teeth and clenched his fist. That's not true. You're the reason we came so far in the end. That special move of yours worked wonders. Haminari didn't add anything as he was too busy walking around with both thumbs pointing up and making a face that can only be described as derpy. Likely a side effect of overusing his electric powers, for sure. In third place is Team Bakugo. Oh man. I can't believe we got all riled up for nothing. Ashita whined while shaking her hands in discomfort for using her quirk so much. True. But at least we're moving on to the next round, that's all that matters. Zero added while smirking. I doubt our leader would agree with you, there Kirishima notes as he watches Bakugo sit back up. 1 minute, the guy sat there motionless. The next, "Gry was the only thing that came out of his mouth as all three teammates stepped back. Should we talk to him? Ashita wonders. Hard no, sis. Zero crosses his arms while adding, I ain't touching that guy. Not even with a 39.5-foot pole. I. And in fourth place is Team what? I don't believe it. Team Shinso from General Studies scored in the top 4. When did they rise back from the dead? The scene pans to a slender teenager with messy violet hair and pale purple eyes, most likely the leader. He smirked at his accomplishment as he turned to his three teammates, including the pink girl of the support course. Shinso tells them, thanks for your help, lads. Later. And walks away, with two of them confused over what happened and the pink girl groaning, darn it. I didn't get to show any of my babies to the big shots tuning in. That general studies guy was bad for publicity. These 4 valiant teams will advance on to the final round. All Might did is stand sighed heavily over everything he witnessed. I don't know how you did it, young Midoriya, but you managed to score first place again with people not from your class. Good job. Meanwhile, during Midoriya's hug on Tokage, the girl slowly utters, hey. Midoriya. This caught the boy's attention as he recognized swirls emanating from her eyes. The hug's nice and all. But can you put me down, now? It's kinda embarrassing up here. Midoriya sweats heavily while glowing red as he puts the girl down while bowing repeatedly, oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, Tokage. I didn't mean to get into your space like that. Tokage took notice of this, waved back to him, and said, don't worry about it. It's all good. You were emotional back there. I get it. She then rotated her body away from Midoriya while rubbing one of her arms and blushing slightly, what the heck has gotten into me? He hugged me one time, and my heart is already going wild. I mean, I like it, but still. Midoriya blushed like crazy as he stared back at Setsuna, who was currently facing away from him. Given that she was in a gym uniform, he got a front row seat to witness more of the girl's curves. He blushed redder than ever, trying hard not to think about how good she looked in gym clothes. Fortunately, no one noticed, even after the girl turned back to the fellow greenette. There you are. Both teams witnessed Iida marching over to them, congratulations, you too. The green-haired girl was sucked out of her thoughts as she looked up at the speedster student, hey. Nice to see you made it to the next round, Iida. You really kept us on our toes back there. I must thank you for your praises, Tokage. Though I cannot say I contributed much. I only hoped that I'd assist Todoroki in any way I could manage. That said, I'm quite surprised you teamed up with Midoriya as opposed to your classmates. What was your reasoning behind it? Midoriya noticed Tokage didn't respond right away, so he chimed in with his answer, Tokage wants Class A and B to work together more. We thought that teaming up this round would be a good way to demonstrate that it's possible. Tokage added, yeah. That's right. Didn't want the rest of your class thinking 1B was loaded with haters. I see. That was quite the bold decision you two made. And I wholeheartedly agree. Given the rising tensions, this may be just what we need to quell this unheroic behavior. We should do this more often as upcoming pros. I know, right. Uraraka popped in next to her green teammates, Deku and Tokage got along so well in the last round. We need to get more people on this. Speaking my language there, sis. Tokage agrees as she leans onto Midoriya. The latter blushed at the action but let it slide, treating it as payback for the hug. Okay, everyone. Let's take an hour off for lunch break before we start the afternoon activities. See ya. Nick then turns to Eraserhead as he's getting off the air, hey Eraserhead. Let's go grab some grub. Hard pass. I'm taking another nap. Oh no, you don't. You're not getting off that easy. Come here. What? Hey. Put me down, Mick. I'm still. Back at Tetsu's team, everyone was suddenly down in the dumps. What the hell just happened? We were in third place a minute ago and we dropped to 0 points out of nowhere. Shiozaki muttered, perhaps it was karmic punishment for taking the little one's headband. I'm so ashamed of deceiving him. Damn it all. Give us a redo. Most of the contestants continued to huff in defeat as they foiled each other in the second round. Come on, guys. Let's feast. Uraraka cheered, wanting to fill up. That's probably not a good idea, Uraraka. We're all in the finals, remember? Tokage grinned. Iida threw in his 2 cents. She's right, you know. It's important to maintain a balanced meal when we have so many tasks ahead of us in today's tournament. Oh. I wouldn't worry too much about it, guys, Izuku added, lunch rush's food is filling, no matter how much we eat. Something then dawned on him, oh yeah. Tokage. You want to join us for lunch? Sure. I've got to get Bondo over to the nurse's office first, though. Tokage answers as she wraps one of the glue guy's arms over her shoulder. We'll come with you. Uraraka responded as she grabbed the other arm. Huh? You don't need to worry about him, Uraraka. You need to spend some time with your friends. True, but Bando's my friend too, and he helped out so much in the last game. She has a good point. Both pan to Iida as he casually hand-chopped the air. Bando was quite the formidable player in the former round. I doubt anyone else carried their team more so than he did. It's only fair we assist your classmate on the way to the nurse's office together. Bando blushed a bit over the praise he's getting despite the paleness on his face. Tokage, though surprised as she was, also grinned at her one of friend's generosity. Alright. You guys can tag along, too. It can't be helped, I guess. All 4 students proceed to escort Bando over to Recovery Girl to make sure he isn't experiencing anything too life-threatening. As for Todoroki, he stared at Midoriya for a bit before looking at his raised left hand and slowly making a fist. I swore I'd never use his side to attack. Yet, he managed to overwhelm me and make it happen. I need to have a word with him. UA main campus. Everyone proceeded to exit the stadium upon President Mick announcing the break. Midoriya, Tokage, Iida, Uraraka and Bando moved into small talk to pass the time as they walked to the cafeteria. However, they needed to escort Bando over to Recovery Girl first after the last round. He was holding up well, though, so to be safe, Iida and Midoriya offered to carry Bando over their shoulders. They then dropped him off to be examined by Recovery Girl and even offered to stay until he was feeling better. However, the elderly nurse insisted they eat up since they'll be participating in the finals. Fortunately, the yellow giant of 1B was only dehydrated and needed to consume electrolytes to reduce his headache. She healed his face cracks with her quirk, so he was out of the clinic the next minute and left the group shortly thereafter. The quartet was now wandering in the cafeteria, each carrying a plate of their favorite meal. Beef stew, katsudon, a mochi platter, and shrimp tempura with udon. So, do you think Bando is going to be okay on his own? He'll be fine, Uraraka. You heard Recovery Girl's report on him. Bando will recover as long as he hydrates. Besides, he mentioned earlier he wanted to call his family during the downtime, so it's best we give him some space. Makes sense. All of our families are watching today's event. I'm sure they're proud of him for making it to the finals. Iida noted, balancing his meal with one hand while caressing his chin with the other. Yeah. Totally. I know my mother certainly is, though I have a feeling she may have passed out a few times from all the close calls I had. Oh yeah. Like that time you flew over everyone in the minefield. That was intense, coming from you, Greenie. All 4 remained in silence for a bit before Midoriya spoke. So, where are we headed, Tokage? We're going to find a spot with some of my classmates. You introduced me to a couple of your friends in 1A. It's only fair I return the favor with you guys. You don't mind, right? Iida responded first, not at all. This will be an excellent opportunity to bond with fellow heroes in training. I'm certain they could use the interaction after so much competition came into play. Tokage noticed Tetsu at one of the tables, eating a pasta dish with lots of meat and spinach. The only other person at the table was another girl with blue eyes, a neutral expression, and a black bob cut, eating a plate of what appeared to be a pizza margherita with extra tomatoes. The female greenette reached out to them. Yo, Tetsu. It's good to see you, man.
The steely boy looked up in excitement. Oh, hey Tokage. What's? His demeanor immediately shifted upon seeing the 1A students as he uttered with a shadow covering his upper face, up. Uraraka and Midoriya shivered at the last part while Tokage eye-rolled over her friend's resistance. She decided to take the lead before things got too serious. Not much. Just wanted to introduce my new friends to you guys. The girl at the table perked up upon hearing the offer, Uraraka, wanting to meet new people, opted to sit across the girl to start things off. Hi. My name's Ochako Uraraka. It's nice to meet you. Iida smiled as he sat next to Uraraka, awaiting a response from the other girl. Meanwhile, Tokage and Midoriya sat closer to Tetsu. Who couldn't tell if the latter was fuming or embarrassed? Yui Kodai, the girl responded with a straight face. The brunette was a bit put off by the blunt response and turned to Tokage. Is she okay? Don't worry. Kodai's always been quiet. She's actually happy to meet you. Just keep talking to her. Uraraka was having trouble continuing the conversation. Sure, she was used to talking to shy people like Deku back in junior high, but uber quiet people were a challenge she was not used to. Seeing the trouble the brunette was having, Midoriya decided to help out. So, what's your quirk, Kodai? The girl wondered at the unique, but then swiftly answered, size. What does it do? Kodai grabs a nearby fork and places it in the palm of her hand, it then glows a pin. Kishyu before enlarging to 3 times its size. All three 1A students gazed in awe over the move, with Uraraka adding, "Whoa. That's amazing. Can you do that with anything?" But only non-living things. Can you make them smaller? 2. Yui replied as she shrank the fork down to half its original size. So cool. How do you change it back to normal? Like this, she pressed her fingertips together and chanted, "Release." Quote. The fork then returned to its original size, but what stood out to Uraraka the most was the method behind it. You press your fingers together to turn off your quirk. Kodai was curious about what she meant by it. My quirk works the same way, too. Check this out. Uraraka answers cheerfully as she presses all 5 fingers onto the fork, making it float in midair. Yeah, and release. The brunette pressed her fingers together like Kodai did earlier. Upon release, Kodai watched the fork come tumbling down back onto the table. Interesting. Iida was not too pleased about the scene before him, so he exclaimed while hand-chopping, "Uraraka. Kodai. We came here to dine for the final round. Stop playing with your quirks, this instant." Midoriya, Tokage, and Uraraka chuckled at Iida's method of maintaining order, with Kodai giving a slight smile on her neutral face. Tetsu, meanwhile, was baffled at the scene before him. He alread. Why despised 1A thanks to Bakugo and Todoroki, yet here he was witnessing 3 of their members casually chatting with his classmates. He thought to himself, what the heck is going on? Class 1A is full of jerks. I saw it myself. Why are they acting so friendly? He stared at Midoriya, who was currently chatting with Tokage. Is this an act? The longer he stared at the greenettes, the harder he gripped the fork he used for eating. Is it possible I misjudged these guys? Tetsu didn't like 1A at the moment, but he didn't desire to spend the day stewing in hatred. If Tokage and Kodai see and get along with the sister hero course, then so can he. However, before the steelified student could say a word, another familiar voice arrived. Midoriya. Everyone turned to witness Todoroki stationed nearby Midoriya, again. The male greenette spoke first. Oh hey, Todoroki. Do you need something? We need to talk. If that's all you need, you're more than welcome to join us. Iida chimed in, wanting to maintain friendly relations. Save it, Iida. I'm not here to make friends with anyone. What I need to discuss with Midoriya has nothing to do with you or anyone else here in that manner. This is private. Todoroki leaned in on his former teammate. Iida wanted to interject, but Tetsu beat him to the punch as he rose from his seat to confront Todoroki. Hold it right there, you jerk. We just got out of 2 rounds of today's event, and some of us need to rest for the final match. And you have the nerve to yank your classmate out on a whim. What's your problem, huh? Calm yourself, Tetsu. We mustn't cause trouble during the break. Iida brought up. He's right. Uraraka tried to chime in. Todoroki's in the finals. We can't risk a fight and get disqualified. He steely student only growled as he placed himself between Midoriya and Todoroki. The students shivered in response, or at least Uraraka did. My problem. Todoroki answered more irritated than usual. I need to discuss something with Midoriya, and here you are trying to defend him just because you don't want me around. Why shouldn't I? You've been nothing but a jerk ever since the start of the sports festival. At least these guys here have manners and are trying to make up for yours and that explosive guy's sorry ass. What? Did one of your parents freeze off part of your head as a child? That last line triggered Todoroki to no end as frost started forming on his right side. What did you say? I said, beat it, Snowflake. Stop wasting your time here and go bug someone else. Unless you want a shiner on your good eye. I'd leave if I were you. 'Cause what you're doing right now is incredibly unmanly. Tetsu cracked his knuckles, ready to fight for his new acquaintances. Iida got up from his seat to separate the two. Calm down, you two. Hostility is poor form for. Todoroki ignored his class rep's pleas as he steps closer to the steel man. You're the one wasting time here. I only wish to speak with Midoriya about something, and I'm well aware that he needs to be in top condition for the next round. Whatever you think I plan to do to him is not going to happen anytime soon. So for the last time, back off, right now, enough. Everyone panned to Midoriya, who stood up and got in between the 2 students. A thick shadow covered his eyes, and he turned to the heat. Rockchromatic teenager without a sound or a twitch, almost as if his body were a machine rather than human. He moved past his surprised classmates before standing face to face with Todoroki. "I'll go with you. Just leave them alone." Both teens proceeded to step into a separate hall, the remaining 5 and the surrounding students dumbfounded over what had happened. Tetsu tried not to cry as he muttered how manly Midoriya was today. Tokage, meanwhile, clenches both of her fists, her face set in a scowl over the events that occurred. "What the hell was I doing? Greenie, Iida, Tetsu confronted Todoroki on their own. And here I am sitting down doing nothing. I'm pathetic." Iida took notice of this and consoled her, "Don't worry about Midoriya. I'm certain whatever Todoroki had to discuss with him won't last too long." Tokage huffs a bit as she looks at the exiting teenagers and then back to the spectacled student. "I hope you're right, Iida. I hope you're right." 10 minutes later, Midoriya returns to the cafeteria. A bit horrified over what occurred earlier. He returns to the table, noticing everyone except Uraraka is still present. Tokage was the first to turn to the greenette. "Oh, there you are, Midoriya. You all right?" "Yeah, I'm all good," he answered as he sat back next to Tokage. "What did Todoroki wish to discuss with you?" Iida wondered as he too turned to his classmate. Midoriya recalled something from the private conversation. "Don't you dare tell anyone else about this. Not Iida, not Tokage, not anyone in our year. You understand? I came only to you for a reason." Remembering this tidbit, he opted to fib instead. He wanted to know how I got my quirk under control. He recalled that every time I used it, I always broke myself. But during the cavalry battle, he witnessed that I didn't get injured that time. Kodai wondered with Tetsu asking, "Break what?" Neither knew what the male greenette meant by that. Tokage took notice and turned to her classmates. "Oh. Midoriya's quirk makes him stronger but damages his body if he goes above a threshold." Kodai nodded, content with the answer. "Oh, that makes sense," said the steel student. The feminine greenette had a sense that Midoriya was lying to the group. Then again, she knew firsthand Todoroki's stern behavior, so she decided not to press further on the topic. That said, she was curious about something else. "You know, now that I think about it, I do recall your arm glowing red before when confronting Todoroki, but you didn't break anything that time. What gives?" "Well, if I had to put it best," Midoriya noted as he closed his left hand. "I reminded myself that I was using my power on another person, so I guess my body subconsciously lowered the output to avoid killing anyone. I've done it a few times before, but not enough to make it a habit." "I see," Tokage noted. Midoriya then turned to his left, noticing one student still missing from the table. "Wait a minute. Where did Uraraka go?" Iida answered. "Yaoyorozu and Jiro arrived earlier. They spoke about something the first-year girls needed to do during the intermission." Kodai tilted her head in confusion. "Intermission?" Tokage jumped in. "That's the first time I heard of it. Do you know what it's about?" "Not quite. Though I'm certain whatever it was must be highly important." "Am I?" Doria noticed Tokage and Kodai had baffled looks on their faces, so he asked, "Do you think something's off?" Definitely. If all the first-year girls were involved, Kendo and I would have at least heard about it." "Who told Yaomomo?" "Anyway, you do make a good point. She mentioned that the request came from Mr. Aizawa. But as the class rep of 1A, he would have at least informed me about it." "Crap, we'd better go after them." Tokage rose from her seat, but Iida intervened before she could go any further. "I doubt that will be possible, Tokage. Yaoyorozu exited the cafeteria with Jiro a few minutes ago. If they're gone, then chances are so are the rest of the female students of 1A. I only hope they don't get into too much trouble until we head back." The spectacled student sighed, at the last thought before taking another bite of his beef stew. Midoriya followed suit, knowing his class rep was right. He decided to kill time by asking Kodai and Tetsu more about their quirks. He was worried the latter wouldn't answer at first. Fortunately, Tetsu tried to be more talkative this time after watching him confront Todoroki and his cold behavior. "Ua Sports Festival Stadium. Welcome back, everyone. Let's get those foam fingers back in the air. 'Cause it's almost time for the last round. But before we get into that, I have good news for everyone who didn't get into the finals. Since this is still a sports festival, we've got some super fun side games everyone can join in. After the lunch break was over, the entire group of first years stepped back into the stadium to continue the festival. Tokage was currently with Tetsu and Midoriya as Iida left to discuss matters with other 1A students. She turned to her right to witness a group of exchange student girls in skimpy cheerleader outfits. "Hey, check it out, Tetsu. Cheerleaders." Tetsu growled, "I'm not a child, Tokage. You don't need to hype me up." She cooed at her friend, noticing he was blushing a bit. "Oh, are you sure? You're not thinking about another girl in that getup, are you? Perhaps, someone a bit more orange." The steel student shouted, "Shut up." He wasn't too delighted. Ed getting teased by his friend like that again. What is she talking about? Midoriya grew curious as his eyes stared blankly at Tetsu. "Ignore her. She's been pulling off this same crap since we were kids." "Oh, not much. Tetsu has been crushing on someone in our class since the start of the year." Tokage cheered while ignoring her classmate, who was turning red and shouting, "Hey!" Izuku sweated at the answer. The male brunette then looks past the two 1B students and notices one thing behind them, or rather, 6 things. He blushed heavily over the scene and cried, What? What's going on over there? Huh, what are you talking about?" Both Tokage and Tetsu wondered as they turned towards Midoriya's direction. Turns out all of the girls from 1A dressed in the same cheerleader outfits as the guests on the other side. The former's eyes grew wide over what they were wearing, followed by Tetsu blushing as heavily as Midoriya. "Hold up. Looks like Class 1A is going full-on fan service. Whose idea was this?" The trio then turned to see Kaminari and Mineta snickering over their accomplishment, with Yaoyorozu exclaiming while super red, "What? I can't believe you tricked us. Unbelievable." Tokage facepalms over the scene, "God damn it, Yaomomo. I get you're innocent, but this is taking it too far." Tetsu blew a blood vessel over the perverted duo's actions and wanted to storm at the two, but the Greenettes held him down. "Let me at him." "No. Stop. You'll get in trouble." "I don't care. These perverts need to be taught a lesson." "And they will, Tetsu. But we can't confront them like that." "Huh, why not? She has a point." The steel boy turned to Midoriya, "We need to handle this in a more adult fashion. We'll tell the teachers about it, and they'll handle the rest. I know my classmates are causing some trouble, but we can't stoop to their level. We have to be better than this." Tetsu was astounded by the boy's words as he stopped resisting. Tokage followed with her thoughts, "He's right. We'll report this to Eraserhead and Vlad King. They'll get their just rewards the right way if we do." Fine, Tetsu responded begrudgingly. He didn't like waiting to commit justice, but trusted the judgment of his green-haired friends regardless. As soon as everyone stepped foot into the field, a pyramid with 16 sending branches appeared on the big screen. "Anyways, have fun with the side games, everyone. After they're over, the final 16 students of the top 4 teams will duke it out in a one-on-one fight to the top. Trust me, you don't want to miss these matchups. A classic one-on-one battle, huh? Yeah, it's weird. Last year, all of the contestants duked it out with foam swords. I didn't expect it to be plainer this time." Midnight walks back up to the podium to make the following announcement, carrying a small yellow box with the label, "Lots," on the front. "Gather round, everyone. It's time to draw lots to see who you're up against. Afterwards, you're free to enjoy the pleasure of the recreational games until the next event. All 16 participants have the option to join the activities or sit out to prepare for battle. I'm sure you all want to conserve your stamina. Now, I'll start with the first place team." The teacher proceeded to descend the steps until one student raised his hand. The student in question had short blonde hair, a fairly muscular frame, and small brown eyes. He appeared normal at first glance, until you realized he had a massive tail growing out from the base of his spine. "Excuse me. Sorry. But I would like to withdraw." Everyone gasped at the request. "Ojiro." Midoriya turned to his classmate, "What are you doing?" Iida, equally confused, also turned to the tailed student. "This is your chance to get scouted. Why would you drop it all of a sudden?" Ojiro lowers his right hand as he elaborates, "It's not right. I barely remember participating in the cavalry battle until the very last minute. I think it was the quirk of my team's rider." Midoriya slowly turns to search within the crowd. He then notices a slim male with disheveled purple hair and violet eyes turning to him. Wait. Who did Ojiro team up with? This guy. His answer was confirmed as the dude in question slowly looked away. I understand this is an excellent opportunity. I wish I could take advantage of it. But my heart won't allow it. Come on, man. Think about it. This is your chance to get noticed by more pros. I have, Midoriya. Everyone gave it their all in the last round, but I barely did anything. It was like I was someone's puppet the whole time. I can't accept this. There's no way I'll advance to the final round if I didn't put the hard work into it. It would be cowardly. Hagakure pleaded to Ojiro not to do this, understanding the stakes. Ishido also pulled her 2 cents in, aware of how little she contributed to Bakugo's team, but Ojiro wouldn't budge. Then, as Iida and Midoriya gawk at the scene before them, someone else steps up. Narengeki Shota here. Another student's voice pulls Midoriya out of his thoughts. He immediately recognizes the poor TLY guy as another member of Shinso's team. I would also like to withdraw from the finals for the same reason. All of the Class 1B students surrounding him stood in confusion over what he said, yet he continued regardless. It doesn't matter how strong I am, this isn't how I wanted to get into the finals. It goes against the values of the festival to advance without doing anything to earn it. Listen to these guys. They're so manly. Kirishima cried out as tears welled up in his eyes. Ooh, this just got interesting. I wonder what Midnight will have to say about that. Midnight stood there for a moment, eyes staring blankly at the requests before her. Then, she answers, this kind of talk is incredibly naive, my boys. That turns me on. Midnight cheers her following answer as he raises her whip in the air like a cheerleader's pom-pom. Shota. Ojiro. You're withdrawn. Everyone sweated over the answer as they thought the same thing. Seriously. Did she say it turns her on? Only. The Pinkett from Shinso's team thought otherwise, eyes gleaming over the prospect of new students to test her equipment on. Alright then, let's see, Midnight pondered as she stared at the pool of students. We'll have to move 2 students from the 5th place team. How does that sound, Team Kendo? Her point was emphasized as she stared at their orange-haired leader, who was currently with her cavalry team consisting of Yanagi, Kodai, and another girl who looked like Uraraka at first glance, but was much shorter than the floating brunette and had heavy bangs in her thick bob cut covering the top half of her face. Sorry, I'll have to turn down the offer. Kendo spoke up, we were frozen in place for most of the round. Honestly, we barely did much in the cavalry battle. Is that right, Komori? She turned to the brown-haired girl in question, She then peered to her left to ask Yanagi and Kodai the same thing. Both nodded at the idea, fully content with passing the honor to someone else. We would like to give that offer to someone who kept fighting the whole time. Therefore, I request that you allow Team Tetsu to advance. The steel boy gawked over what he heard. Kendo. What are you doing? This is your chance to advance. I'm not doing this as a favor. It's only fair you guys move ahead after everything. Tetsu looked like he was about to burst into tears as he locked his eyes tight. You guys. Thank you. A minute later, both Midoriya and Tokage watched the team debate over who would advance. In the end, both heard their final answer from Midnight. Looks like Tetsu and Shiozaki are moving on, then. Yeah, it's surprising that Kendo would throw away her opportunity to advance to the finals. I hope she doesn't get mad at her decision. Kendo's a tough girl. She knows her worth along with the rest of 1B. Besides, her team got caked in ice while Todoroki's group hunted us down after halftime was announced. I would have nay the same thing if we were stuck in one spot the whole time. That's true. Well, I wish them luck in the finals. Midoriya grinned at the opportunity while Tokage followed the guy's mannerisms. Quote, now that the final contestants are squared away, give a good look at the bracket, my dears. These will be your opponents. 8 of the 16 finalists proceed to draw their lots during their chat. Then, the screen projecting the tournament pyramid changes as the blank slots fill into the following brackets. Match 1, Izuku Midoriya vs Hitoshi Shinso. Match 2, Momo Yaoyorozu vs Setsuna Tokage. Match 3, Shoto Todoroki vs Hantasiro. Match 4, Abara Shiozaki vs Denki Kaminari. Match 5, Eijiro Kirishima vs Tetsu. Match 6, Kojiro Bondo vs Katsuki Bakugo. Match 7. Tenya Iida vs Mina Ishido. Match 8. Ochako Uraraka vs Mei Hatsume. The crowd goes wild over the results, eager to witness the upcoming battles. That said, the reactions of the remaining contestants varied. For instance, in Match 5, Tetsu and Kirishima yelled simultaneously, "Seriously? What the crap?" In Match 2, Tokage leaned to her opponent, "Well, better give it your all there, Yaomomo." The pony-tailed girl responded in tandem with, "Indeed. I ask of you to do the same, Tokage." In Match 7, Ishido cheered, "Can't wait to melt your speedy butt, Iida." Iida, meanwhile, responded while chopping his hands. That is highly inappropriate for a high school match. Nobody told them how common smack talk would be in a tournament. For Match 6, Bakugo did what he did best socially, Bondo. "Who the hell's that?" The giant yellow student shrieked over how callous his future opponent's response was. Midoriya too stared at the lineup, "I'm the first one in the bracket. That means I might fight Yaoyorozu or Tokage next. If I survive that, then Todoroki will likely be next. Great. Just my luck. Anyways, I'd better figure out how to handle this Shinso guy." In another spot, Todoroki thought the same thing, "He could be my third match. You'd better advance, Midoriya. So I can beat you without his help." Izuku Midoriya. "That's you, right?" Midoriya freaked out upon hearing the purple-haired male from behind him. He jumped away as one thought crossed his mind, "It's him. You're from General Studies. A pleasure to meet you. Are you excited?" Why?" Suddenly, before Midoriya could respond, Ojiro wrapped his massive tail around the greenette's mouth while Tetsu jumped in front of the two. "Hey. Back off. You trying to start something, you punk." "Hey. Not really. See you in the first round." Shinso smirked as he turned around to walk away. Once he was gone, the tailed blonde released his grip on his classmate as the latter turned to face him and the 1B student, Ojiro. Tetsu. What's going on? Don't say a word to him. That guy's a total dirtbag. He was going to make you lose early." Midoriya was perplexed over what he heard. "What do you mean by that? Can either of you explain?" Both Ojiro and Tetsu looked at each other for a bit before nodding and escorting Midoriya to one of the break rooms inside the stadium. "Come with us." In another spot, Tokage searched throughout the crowd. "That's weird. Where did Greenie go?" Kendo reached out to the girl. "What's up, Tokage? Have you seen Midoriya anywhere? He was here a few minutes ago." "Not really. He probably went back inside to prepare for the matches." "Why?" The greenette whined as she tugged at her hair. I wanted to play with him in the side games. And now he's gone." The N fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. Kendo sweated at the answer. "You do realize you're in the finals too, right? It might be best to conserve your energy and head back inside." Tokage NLY responded with some more groaning and still in pieces. "I get that, but still. Is spending time with him so much to ask? I'm sure he'll come back soon. If you're going to join us, then at least try to take it easy." Fine. Tokage groaned as she pieced herself back together, "But if he comes back, you'd better tell me." "Got it." Kendo stared blankly as she thought, "I didn't think why I'd be that excited to work with him again." The screen then shifts from the pyramid to bold text stating, "Recreation." "Okay, everyone. Now that the matches are lined up, let's begin the interlude." So before the battles begin, it's time to start some heart-pounding side games. Everyone immediately split to do different things. The 1A girls opted to continue the cheerleader trend, some more enthusiastically than the rest. Others left the stadium for some alone time. Everyone else joined in for a variety of games, starting with a scavenger hunt, followed by a series of ball games. Meanwhile, in the break room, the trio arrived at the designated waiting room and settled at one of the tables. Both Ojiro and Tetsu opted to sit across from Midoriya, who looked more confused than anything. "So, can either of you explain why we're here?" "It's about Shinso." Ojiro answered first. "He may not look like much, but he's more dangerous than you think," while Tetsu nodded next to him. "Okay, I get that. I mean, he got this far, so that must mean he has a pretty strong quirk. I know it's something to watch out for, but I didn't think it would put either of you on edge." "How dangerous are we talking?" "Very dangerous. If I had to guess, then I'd say Shinso has a brainwashing quirk." Ojiro answered. Brainwashing. Midoriya exclaimed. Goosebumps sprouted all over his body. You're not joking, right? Tetsu opted to confirm, we're not. During break time, I tried to figure out why my team didn't win the cavalry battle. Then it hit me. As it turns out, the guy Ho passed the second round is the same one who stole all of our points. 1 minute, I was yelling back at him for mocking my classmates, the next, poof. I stopped dead in my tracks, along with everyone else. So you better watch yourself with that guy. Okay, then. I'll keep that in mind. What was it like to be affected by the quirk? I'm not sure how best to put it. It didn't have the usual FFECTS like you would expect from a comic book or a movie. When I got hit, I had no idea what I was doing. I could feel what was going on outside in a sense, but that's about it. Ojiro admitted. Same here, though my best way of putting it was I felt like I was strapped to a chair. I couldn't move my arms, my legs, or even my neck. All I could do was stare at whatever screen I was facing while listening to a bunch of warbles. It wasn't until one of the guys carrying me bumped into me hard enough that I started moving again. So annoying. I see, physical contact is enough to break free. That's left is figuring out the trigger. How do you think it activates? My best take would have to be execution. When I got hit, it was after he asked me a question. He may not even need to ask you anything. If we take into account Tetsu's story, he may only need you to respond to anything he says. Sorry, that's the best explanation we can offer. No, this is alright. So all I need to do is not respond to him. And he should be easy to take down. That should be plenty to work with. Izuku noted as he brainstorms a plan. It better be. Tetsu declared, that guy fights dirty. So chances are he'll spout anything to get under your skin. I understand. Thanks so much, guys. Izuku opted to stand up first before turning to Tetsu. So, are you going to head to the stands? Or do you need the break room for your match still? Tetsu said nothing as he rose from his seat and slowly walked towards the boy. Midoriya muttered, is everything alright? Tetsu gripped his shoulders and shouted. Kick his ass for us. Huh, you heard me. That guy messed with both of our classes. That means one of us has to go down there and teach him a lesson. He's right, Ojiro added as he stood up from his chair and walked next to the 1B student. We all worked hard to make it this far in the finals. It wouldn't be right if we let him get away with it. I mean, I get that. But, Tetsu, he cost you half of your team's members from advancing to the final. Wouldn't it make more sense to confront him yourself? Unless we both advance to the final round. I won't get my chance to rip into him in a fight. I'm fine with that. As long as you take the honor for us, that's good enough for me. The steel boy exclaimed while slightly tightening his grip on the 1A boy. Not enough to make Midoriya wince in pain, but enough to feel the difference. I already misjudged you from 2 weeks ago, and I deeply regret it. From what Tokage told me about you, you're way more of a man than I ever gave you credit for. It doesn't matter if you're leading the pack or trailing behind, you never gave up despite the odds. That's why I want you to get out there and show that purple punk how we do it in the hero course. Midoriya was stunned by Tetsu's choice of words. Earlier, he wanted nothing to do with anyone from Class 1A, let alone him. And yet, here he is, cheering him on to win the first match for the sake of their classes. He couldn't help but feel reminded of Kirishima's optimism every time someone from 1A felt down. So, he drew the boy and nodded, I will. Thanks. That was all Tetsu needed to hear as he nodded in return, took his hands off of Izuku, and both students exited the break room to meet with their classes at the stands. This left the greenette all alone as he sat back down to resolve a plan. Some time later, all of the side games have finished, meaning it was time to start the final event. Midoriya stood near the entrance of the ring, closing his eyes and taking slow breaths before heading out to his next task. Before he could leave though, someone else reached out to him. Hey, Midoriya turned around to witness All Might in his default form. Sorry, I haven't said hi before. You've been great. You're getting the hang of one for all. No, not quite. I'm still worried about using it. I tried imagining the egg in the microwave or how it felt to strike that villain earlier. Yet, despite that, I don't have full control over the quirk. It feels too unpredictable, like I might get ripped apart if I let my guard down for even a moment. After so much training, I'm nowhere near ready for 100%. Makes sense. If we're talking about how much of One for All you can control at this point, my B. Saint guesses that you're closer to 5% than anything. Just 5. That's all. Midoriya squeaked at the low number. I guess I have been getting by through dumb luck and friends. All Might got irritated at the concept. So he ear-clapped his protege to knock him out of his guilt. The younger of the two squeaked, "Ag. At the pain. Enough. Stop feelin' so bad for yourself. Just get out there and do your best, damn it. There's no such thing as luck in this line of work. You'll never become the hero you want to be if that's what you think." Midoriya shakes himself off as he looks up to see All Might increasing in size. Muscles bulging, and bangs sticking straight back up in the air in the iconic V format. He was now in his hero form. Listen, whenever you're scared or nervous about a fight, face it head on with a proud smile on your face. You've come so far, kid. Even if you worry, you must stand tall. Don't forget that I'm counting on you, and cheering you on. Now, go out there and tell everyone you are here. The Greenette smiled at the hero's resolve, silently thanking him, before turning around to enter the arena. After the side games ended, the teachers set up the stadium to begin their one-on-one fights. They opted for a massive rectangular concrete field with a smaller platform at the center, signifying the boundaries. Midnight stood at the side to spectate the ongoing fights and was paired with another teacher by the name of Smintos, a middle-aged man with a prism-shaped head, blocky body features, stone-gray skin, narrow black eyes, a wide mouth, and light gray hair tied into a short ponytail. His costume was a sleeveless brown jumpsuit that reached above the knees, featuring a high collar that covered his neck and yellow stripes on his shoulders and hips. Dull gray boots with yellow soles finished the look. He not only served as a secondary umpire, but also as the one responsible for constructing the ring, thanks to his quirk allowing him to manipulate cement with a touch. "That's it. I'm all done here," Smintos announced as he stepped away from the newly created platform. "Thank you for the assist, Smintos. All right, sports fans. Are y'all ready?" The crowd roars in approval, ready to witness the final event of the day. After all the action you've witnessed, let's get the real battles going. From now on, all of our remaining competitors are on their own. After all, sometimes a hero has to go at it alone. Heart, skill, strength, wisdom, courage, they'll have to use every skill listed and more to reach the top. As soon as Midoriya entered, flames blasted from the four corners of the stadium, with the crowd cheering in excitement. Let's get the finals rolling. Behold our first fighters to enter the ring. On the left, we have the crafty wonder from the hero course, Izuku Midoriya. He got out to a fantastic head start to winning the first round and secured first place once again in the cavalry battle. Midoriya gulped loudly as his eyes analyzed the countless rows of live viewers. After all, he made a good impression in the first 2 rounds, so he'd better keep up the momentum here. He turned his gaze towards the front. He'd come so far because of a lot of people today, and he isn't going to let it go to waste anytime soon. And on the right, we have the last man standing from General Studies, Hitoshi Shinso. Many people like him didn't cut it in the obstacle course, but he held strong the whole way through. Will he be able to topple the reigning champ of today? Let's find out. The rules are simple. All you gotta do is immobilize your opponent or force them out of the ring. You can also win by getting your opponent to forfeit the duel. Do any of that, and you win the match. I'll jump in case anyone tries to do anything funny. Smintos added as he forged a cement chair to spectate on the opposite side of Midnight. TCH, forfeit. Not likely. Shinso smirked as he turned to his green-haired adversary. Oh, and one more thing. Don't do any of that killing crap, got it? It's bad enough heroes do it in the movies. We don't need that kind of publicity here. Anyways, enough talk. Without further ado, begin. The crowd rose from their seats for the beginning of the final event, only to then witness something odd. Izuku and Hitoshi were standing there, doing nothing. They stared at each other for what felt like minutes, waiting for the other to make a move. Then, the latter spoke up. So, you plan to give up? After all, this is a test to see how strong your spirit is. If you know what you want for the future, you'd better not worry about what other people think. What do you say about that? You'd better not drop out of pride like that monkey. He was a fool for throwing away his chance like that. Midoriya wanted to speak up, but held his tongue upon remembering something. 1 minute, I was yelling back at him for mocking my classmates, the next, poof. I stopped dead in my tracks, along with everyone else. Quote, he covered his mouth with a hand to keep himself from messing things up. That was too close. If I spoke up then, I would have been a goner like Ojiro and Tetsu. As soon as he was certain Shinso was done talking, he lowered his hand, ready to continue fighting. He marched towards Shinso with both fists tightened and produced a glare sharp enough to cut through steel. The following thought soon crossed the perplexed mind, damn it, so much for an easy win. I should have known this would happen. He's more clever than that monkey and Tin Man from the last round. He then peered up to the bleachers where Class 1B was seated. Then again, there is always more than one way to skin a cat. Shinso thought as he stared closely at Tokage. He turned his attention back to Midoriya. TCH, who am I kidding? Ever since watching you in the cavalry battle, it's clear that you're the last guy who would give a rat's ass about pride. I mean, what kind of hero stoops so low as to reach out to total strangers, and from a class that despises your own? Let's see here, what were their names again? Tokage and Bondo, am I right? Huh. Midoriya stopped moving and grew confused. Why is he bringing them up? You know, both of them only got in the finals because of your status as a first placer. What, did you take pity on them because of how poorly they've done in the first round? The greenette began to grit his teeth. No, you're wrong. Come on, now. You know it's true. All of those 1B punks only got into the final round because of you and the monkey. That splitting shrew is probably aware that if she stayed with her class, she would be stuck up there watching us with the rest of those idiots. Shut up. Shut up. The greenette felt his blood boiling from underneath. He became certain it was hot enough to rupture from his flesh and burn everything around him, including his opponent's face. I mean, does that bitch have no honor or shame? She's probably getting called a traitor now by her classmates as we speak. We're all against each other in the end to become number one, so what's the point in bringing everyone else up to the top? Shinso sneered. A wry smile pried open as he peered closer at Midoriya's eyes. She's wasting her damn time on making a fantasy come true. Guess I should have lowered my expectations for a coward such as herself. Izuku charged at his opponent. One for all activated by instinct as red veins glowed all over his exposed skin while he yelled, "You take that back right now, you bastard." He was about to land a blow on the guy. Intel. Whoosh. Ellipsis. Ellipsis. Wow. Did you see that? Yeah. Where did that speed come from? He cleared half the ring in a few seconds. Since when was Midoriya a speedster like Iida? Comments such as those spread throughout the 1A balcony, along with the rest of the crowd. Shinso thought the same thing, though he didn't share the same enthusiasm as they did. That was too close. Shaky breaths flowed from the perplexed mouth as he gazed at Midoriya's fist an inch away from his nose. Damn it, I warned him, Ojiro thought as he witnessed the scene. What's going on? Tokage wondered. Why did Midoriya stop all of a sudden? A vein appeared on Tetsu's forehead over what he witnessed. Hey! Snap out of it. Get rid of that William Afton knockoff already. That's insane. Shinso froze his opponent before he could land a punch. And what a close one that was. I can't imagine the damage if Midoriya's fist connected to his schnoz. While present Mike freaked out over the scene. Aizawa drew some papers on the competing students. Midoriya was one thing, he was impressed that the boy was not relying on his quirk and instead using his wits to get ahead. It reminded him of his younger years back in high school. Hitoshi Shinso, meanwhile, he was on the same boat, maybe even worse, when it came to the hero course. The class was ill-suited to recruit people with non-physical quirks such as brainwash. It was a good thing he also applied for general studies as a backup. Otherwise, his hero dream would never see the light of day. If he had it his way, Eraserhead would have taken Shinso under his wing without question. Sorry for all the low blows, it's nothing personal. We are free to fight dirty after all. You were blessed with a powerful quirk any hero would want. While I got stuck with one fitting for a lowly villain. I always wanted to be on the hero track, but had to settle with general studies after failing the practical. So I'll do what I must to win. Damn it. I let my guard down. So much for their warnings. He got what he wanted. The indigo-haired teen sighed before approaching his opponent's ear. Now, be a good hero and walk out of bounds. Unable to resist the command, Midoriya's body straightened up, made a 180-degree turn, and slowly marched towards the boundary. What's going on? Why's Midoriya waltzing out of the ring? Eraserhead. Who is this kid? Someone who fell through the cracks. Be it arrogance or irrationality, Hitoshi Shinso is on par with students from the hero course but had to settle for general studies as the practical exam is only suited for those with physical quirks. The bandaged hero answered with his mic turned off on purpose. Midoriya, meanwhile, kept walking straight without hesitation. Crap, they warned me about him, and now I'm going to lose. I'm such an idiot. I gotta snap out of it and fast. His mind was in a fog, a misty world, so to speak. He noticed people in the stands from both hero classes yelling at him, but that's all he could detect. No, Deku. What are you doing? He can't walk out of the ring. He'll lose the match if that happens. Wake up, already. You can't give this dirtbag the win. Come on, shake it off and get him already. Come on, come on. He was peering closer to the edge, all of that hard work about to go to waste in an instant. Get back in there, kid. You gotta show him what you're made of. Somebody help. Anyone. In that instant, One for All started flowing into 2 fingers of his left hand, intriguing everyone in the audience. That's interesting. What do we have here? Mike wondered the same thing as everyone else. Shinso though the same thing too, though he was more startled than curious. What's going on? Midoriya asked himself as his vision gazed upon 7 hazy figures within the tunnel he had entered. The fingers flowing with potent quirk slowly cocked back into his palm. Before he could step outside. FWOOSH. His fingers sprang back downward, summoning a massive burst of wind from his position. Everyone else in the field either latched onto a solid object or squatted closer to the ground to avoid getting blown away. Midoriya gasps in pain as he now stands an inch away from the bounds. Wow! Incredible! Midoriya broke himself out of whatever spell Shinso put him under by smashing up his fingers. OOOOHHH. That's gotta hurt. The crowd went wild over the insane recovery. That's the way to do it. Whoa, that was too close. I almost freaked out. Hell yeah, he's free, guys. Finally. Now he can finish the job. But man, that looks like it hurts like hell. He warned me about the drawback, but this is horrifying to watch. Izuku stood there for a moment, the 2 fingers he used One for All on to break free were now heavily bruised. What just happened? I didn't use One for All that time. Maybe it was one of those people in the tunnel. Who were they? He then slowly turned around to face Shinso once again, gawking at the scene before him. No, that's impossible. How did he break free? Shinso clenched his teeth and fists. His plan backfired again. That wasn't supposed to happen. What did you do? Answer me. Learning from his mistake, Izuku kept his mouth shut as he turned around. I'll ask All Might later. Right now, I gotta throw this guy out of here. He dashed forward while the brainwashing student stood there perplexed. Crap. If I don't get him to talk again, it's over. There's no way I'm not going down like this. Well, what are you waiting for? I never knew how much power you have in just your fingers. I gotta say, I'm quite jealous. You have to tell me how it works. I know that feeling too well. I felt that way my whole life with Kachan. You're lucky to have a heroic quirk. Reaching your goal should be a piece of cake. That's why I'm here. Midoriya shoved into the perplet, pushing him closer to the boundaries as the latter kept talking. That's why I have to win. Say something, damn it. Shinso punched as hard as he could into the greenette's cheek, enough to force his head to turn and his nose to bleed, but it didn't deter him. Midoriya kept pushing him closer to the bounds with all of his might. Shinso then jabbed into his left hand, where his fingers were damaged. It was enough to turn the tables as got behind Midoriya to push him closer to the bounds. Get out of this ring already. But even that desperate act proved futile. Midoriya grabbed Shinso by his jacket and forearm and threw the opponent over his head before slamming him into the ground, knocking out any wind left in Shinso's lungs. By the time the act was finished, the opponent's feet laid outside the boundary. Midnight took notice as she called out. Shinso is out of bounds. Midoriya advances to the next round. You heard her, folks. Thanks to that expert overhead throw, we now have our first victor in the finals. Izuku Midoriya from Class 1A. The crowd went wild over the victory as Midoriya wheezed over his accomplishment. That was nerve-wracking. He turned the tables at the last moment. I expected nothing less from our classmate. Check it out, Bakugo. He pulled that same throw on you before, huh? Shut it, Sparky. That purple guy didn't stand a chance. Well, that was an underwhelming first match, kids. But you both fought bravely. Regardless, show him some love, everyone. Hell yeah, that's how it's done, man. Way to go. I know, right? That was awesome. Well, I'd better get ready for my match. Wish me luck, guys. Shinso slowly woke up, his eyes now facing the partly cloudy sky, and made a fist with one of his hands. He walked back with Midoriya to bow to him in the center of the stage and left with a scowl etched onto his face. Hey, Shinso. Why do you want to be a hero? Shinso grunted as he stopped moving. Why do you care? You can't help what your heart longs for. There's no other way to put it. He stepped off the platform without another word. All of that drive, all of that planning, made worthless in an instant. Midoriya tried to follow him, but knew deep down that whatever he said to Shinso won't help him budge. However, before the purplet could enter the tunnels, someone else called to him. You were awesome out there, Shinso. Shinso stopped as he gasped at the compliment. He looked up to see his classmates cheering him on from the stands. You were amazing. Yeah, you're the star of the program. Thanks for putting in a good word for the general studies kids. You put up such a great fight, and against the dude who won first place twice earlier. Some of the heroes also took notice of that, equally bewildered over Shinso's situation. What the hell is he doing in general studies? With a quirk like that, you can catch dangerous villains without breaking a sweat. Wish I had something like that. Yeah, what were those idiots thinking? Well, there are lots of applicants this year. Guess he must have slipped through the cracks. With more combat experience, he'd be formidable as a pro. Indeed, Shinso stood in awe over what he heard. His power was villainous by nature, and yet, both students and pro heroes alike were praising him. Shinso. ... Sorry for what I said earlier. I hope you don't take any of it personally. It's alright. I get it. We don't get to decide what powers we start with. Sometimes, we have to make do with what we have. My quirk is strong, but I have to careful with it for every waking moment. Or else I'll destroy myself like I have here. Midoriya raised his injured left hand to emphasize his point, so I understand where you're coming from. That said, whatever you do, don't give up now. It's not too late. Shinso sneered at the sappy comment, but couldn't bring himself to mock Midoriya over what he said. After everything that went down, he agreed. Though, he did have to get something out of the way, first. You know, depending on how well we do, they might transfer new people into the hero course. Midoriya nodded and grunted behind Shinso. Yeah, I do. Shinso's powers act. I waited again as he froze in place where he stood. Ah, come on. Why did he do that? The match is over. Don't worry about me. Even if I failed here, I'm not giving up. I want to become a hero like you guys, no matter what. He released Midoriya from his power as he walked back to him. Before I go, promise me this from now on. Everyone here is gunning for the top, and they'll take any advantage they can get their hands on to beat you. So, whatever you do, don't you dare lose and make me look bad. You hear me? Midoriya was about to answer he won't, but remembered Shinso may have activated his quirk again as a test. He instead settled to nod his head and held his fist in front of the purple team to confirm his promise. Shinso smirked as he returned the gesture to complete the fist bump. Well, at least he learned from his mistake. He then walked back into the tunnel, content with his loss. A few minutes later, Recovery Girl's office. MMMMWAH. That should do it. Recovery Girl kissed the boy to heal his new injuries. She then wrapped up his 2 fingers in bandages to finish her work. Midoriya glumly noted, that last match. I couldn't smile through it like you did. All Might sighed at the response. It can't be helped, I guess. He said some pretty nasty things to you. It must have been painful to hear after the progress you made in the hero course, no matter how much you relate to him. Yeah, but I couldn't hold back on him. I have to aim for the top like you said. Heh, poor darling. Recovery Girl sighed. She turned to All Might in utter frustration and slammed her fist into the hero's ribs. Can you not go one day without pressuring the boy? OWW. I had to, and that hurt like hell. If you keep him stressing him out like that, he'll come back with more gray hairs than green. Something then sparked back into the boy's mind. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. He turned to All Might to emphasize his point. I had some sort of vision in the last match. I saw people. About 8 or 9, give or take. My brain was foggy under Shinso's control, but when the vision appeared, they completely drove that feeling away, allowing me to control One for All, even for a moment. One of them even looked like you. Is it possible they were One for All's predecessors? Spirits, maybe. Spirits. All Might shivered at the prospect of being mistaken for an undead. Huh, I thought you'd have answers. Oh, wait, now that you mention it, I saw something like that, too before. When I first had One for All. Midoriya grew curious as he let the old hero elaborate. It's a sign you're getting closer to making One for All your own quirk. I believe it's a trace of the user's spirit. Or rather, what's left behind when it's passed on. Don't worry. It's completely normal. It won't interfere with your progress. That said, it wasn't responsible for removing the brainwashing effects. Your passion is what helped you break free in the end, even if it only affected a small part of you. Midoriya sighed as he scratched the back of his neck. Okay. That answer was useless. Never mind that. Besides, shouldn't you be worrying about who will be your next opponent? Huh. The Greenette realized All Might had a point. Oh, that's right. I'll be fighting one of the girls who got in on recommendations next. Thank you both very much. You're welcome. Recovery Girl replied as Midoriya dashed back up to the stands, shouting, goodbye. After closing the door, the old nurse turned to All Might. So, he saw you there as well. Are you worried? Not at all. It's a good sign, that's all. Quote, -1A stands. Midoriya walked back up to the seating area. Some of his classmates sent him congratulations for winning the first round. There you are, Deku. You were awesome. Have a seat with us. We saved a spot just for you. Oh, thanks, guys. Midoriya walked over to Uraraka and Iida, but not before noticing Ojiro giving him a thumbs up for winning. As well as seeing Tetsu pump his fist into the air, crying his eyes out over by the 1B seatings. How he managed to climb the wall between the two hero classes was beyond the Greenette. But he was happy to see him, regardless. That said, two didn't share the same excitement. Bakugo was indifferent to the situation. And Todoroki looked at the boy before turning away. Of course, he won. What else did they expect? A few minutes later, the corner flames erupted once again as the next competitors entered the fray. Okay, folks, it's time for the next round of fighters to enter the field. And look at that. Our lovely ladies for the second match have just arrived. On the left is the walking armada herself. A top-performing student who got into the hero course on recommendations. From Class 1A, it's Momo Yaoyorozu. Yaoyorozu said nothing as she glared at her green-haired adversary in the ring, who was currently stretching her arms and back for the match. Versus, in the right, we have the Splatastic Seductress. She's also a high-performing student who enrolled in the hero course on recommendations. Say hello to Class 1B's, Setsuna Tokage. Tokage cringed a bit over Mike's announcement. Seriously. At least give me a different intro. Alright, now that we have introductions taken care of, let's get the second match rolling, everyone. Ready. Begin. The Green SM. I led as she put her hands behind her back, then started walking to the side. This got Momo to raise her guard. I have to be quick about this. In terms of firepower, I have the upper hand on Tokage. Though that hasn't deterred her before. If the cavalry battle is anything to go by. You know, it's kind of funny actually, Tokage remarked while continuing to stare at her opponent. What do you mean? Momo grew confused that Tokage was choosing to talk rather than to fight. The splitting girl gestured by looking up. Take a look around us. This prompted Yaoyorozu to look up to all of the pro heroes as the former continued. Even though we're in different classes, we have so much in common. Neither of our quirks is geared for combat and is super complex, and all of our peers look up to us with high regard. However, only one of us can continue on this journey. So, tell me, does this remind you of anything? Tokage then looked back down. Nobody, Both students and pro heroes understood why the girl opted to talk. It was starting to look like the last match, maybe even worse. What is she doing? Uraraka wondered. Is Tokage talking to Yaoyorozu? Yes, she is. Though I doubt she see. And continue distracting Yaoyorozu for long with that method. The latter still has plenty of options to immobilize her opponent. Iida noted. I don't think it's that simple, Izuku noted, confusing his two friends. The one-for-all wielder understood where they were coming from, so he elaborated, take a look down there. Tokage's plan is already in motion. Back in the field, Yaoyorozu looked back at her opponent. I don't understand what this has to do with here. This is a battle, not a leisurely chat in the halls. We're here to get scouted, remember. I know. Setsuna admitted, I can't help but think about it. It reminds me of a certain line in a movie. You know, the kind where an old pro is training a new superhero with the same powers. The 1A girl finally lowered her hands, albeit by a slight amount. And what line is that? Don't watch the mouth, Tokage smirked, watch the hands. She emphasized the second half of her sentence by moving her arms back in front of her, indicating that both of her hands are missing. Before Yaoyorozu could respond, something flew at her and jabbed her in the right cheek. This freaked out the girl as she exclaimed, not again. The girl finally pieced together that Tokage was distracting her by talking. That way, she could sneak one of her fists in for an attack. She had enough time to conjure a metal shield to barely block another fist flying towards her left. Not missing a beat, Tokage split up her forearms into 6 pieces and barraged the creation girl in multiple directions. I don't believe it. Tokage just went on. The offensive after pulling a literal sleight of hand on her opponent. How clever. Midoriya smiled at the scene before him. If raw power was all that was needed, Yaoyorozu would have beaten Tokage already. Even so, she still has options to work around it. What do you mean, Deku? Tokage is strong, but how is she supposed to overpower Yaoyorozu? That's the thing, she isn't. Izuku continues staring at his classmate, who is currently raising her shield to block Tokage's rapidly moving pieces of flesh. Yaoyorozu can easily make a weapon strong enough to incapacitate her opponent, but shish. He needs time and focus to create the object she wants. Tokage understood that, knowing that the best way to counter it is to keep her attention occupied long enough to form a trap. That makes sense. Iida jumped in. As long as Yaoyorozu can think about the molecular structure of the object, she would have no problem creating a net or blunt object to immobilize her enemy. That said, it's still abs out the part where Tokage secures her victory. I think she's about to do just that, Iida. Back in the ring, I can't keep this up much longer. Tokage's pieces aren't that strong on their own, but they're still super fast. I can barely move this shield quick enough to block even half of her attacks. Perhaps I can craft some armor while she's occupied. She then notices Tokage snickering, as she sets most of her pieces in front of her to attack Yaoyorozu head-on. All of the pieces charge at once, forcing the latter to raise her shield before they could reach her. She blocked the attack, but she was starting to move backwards. Tokage didn't let up as she kept firing her pieces straight into her opponent, driving the pony-tailed girl further back, with the latter being unaware of how much she was being pushed away. Then, all of a sudden, she stopped. Not feeling any more pieces hitting her shield, she lowered the bracer to look at Tokage with 6 pieces surrounding her. She stopped attacking. Why? The greenette said nothing as she continued to smile. Yaoyorozu was irked at the act, not wanting to get distracted a second time. It doesn't matter, she thought as she created a steel bowstaff from her right hand. Now's my chance to take the offensive. Yaoyorozu. Her attention panned towards midnight as the heroine continued, you're out of bounds. Huh, the pony-tailed girl thought. She looked down to notice one of her legs sticking outside the boundary line. How is that possible? There isn't much power behind, the girl questioned further, only to look at her front to realize both of Tokage's hands pushing on the former's hips the whole time. Tokage's the winner. Add her to the next bracket. Turns out the greenette created another diversion with her pieces and allowed her hands to slip past her defenses while the rest of her body kept her busy. Tokage grinned at her easy victory as she summoned all of her pieces back to her main body. The crowd went wild over the fight they witnessed. That girl's a dynamo. She outfought and outsmarted her opponent in under 2 minutes. I see. She knew she couldn't overpower Yaoyorozu. So she opted to create a diversion. How intriguing. I can see why you teamed up with her. Iida noted while hand-chopping. I wouldn't put it like that, but thanks. Midoriya slightly grinned with a small blush. He proceeded to stare at the green-haired girl, fully enamored by her cheerful attitude and bright smile. Tokage's not strong like Todoroki or Yaoyorozu, but she made do with whatever skills she did possess. Fast, perceptive, smart. She's amazing in a way I've never seen from All Might before. He beamed a little more, not aware that his cheeks were reddening or that his chest was thumping harder. Why? Aoyorozu dropped her weapons as she stared at her former adversary, who was still waving at the cheering crowd before her. I lost, impossible. She looked back down and slowly walked back into the tunnel. Only midnight and a few 1A students noticed the girl heading back inside. Ha 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 ha. All of Class 1A turned to the wall on the left to witness Monoma peeking above, yelling, "Serves you right, Class 1A. You may have won the battle but lost the war to one of 1B's finest students." TCH. Not this clown again. Bakugo muttered, only giving the 1B blonde nothing better than a bombastic side eye. Hope you're ready to lose some more, cuz we're just gettin'. A hand then strikes Monoma in the back of the neck, knocking him out cold as he slumped back down the wall. Kendo then peers up next to say, "Sorry about that, guys. Don't mind him," before coming back down to place Monoma back into his seat. Wow, that was weird, Kaminari noted. He then looked at Mineta seated beside him, who was frustrated at what he witnessed. What the hell was that? The electric blonde decided to throw in his 2 cents, I know, right? I didn't think Yaoyorozu would lose, let alone that fast. Not that, Kaminari. There were 2 sexy chicks on stage, but no catfight or clothes being torn off. Seriously. Why would want to see that? Kaminari shrieked, both expecting and not expecting the response from the purple midget. Mineta shouted some more, what do you mean, why would you want to see that? 2 of the hero course's hottest babes took the stage and you want them to fight fully dressed. This is an outrage. Blasphemy. The moment of glory never came into. Suddenly, one of Jiro's earphone jacks lodged itself into the side of the great boy's head. Upon contact, Jack cut his incessant yapping short as he cried in immense pain over the intense vibrations. He then collapsed back into his seat while foaming at the mouth, as Jiro responds while retracting her jack appendage. That's enough out of you. Everyone then remained in silence, awaiting the next battle to begin. Sports Festival Halls. After the last match ended, Todoroki proceeded to walk through the halls. He never watched the second match and instead opted to spend his time in the break room. It doesn't matter if Tokage or Yaoyorozu won the last match. You'd better win the next round, Midoriya. Neither of the girls will suffice for what I must prove. However, during his stroll, he encountered someone. Shoto then uttered to the hulking figure, "What do you want?" The man before him was another pro-hero built similarly to All Might, leaning against a wall. However, where All Might's frame would give viewers peace of mind, this guy radiated fury, ready to take down any villain that stood in his way. He had short crimson hair spiked up from his head and blazing turquoise eyes. His beard and mustache appeared to be made of fire, as well as the makeshift mask over his eyes. He wore a dark navy bodysuit with flames streaming across his chest, ribs, arms, shoulders, and outer legs, surrounded by scarlet stripes. His costume also had knee-high boots encased in flames while leaving their white soles untouched. White cage-style bracers at the forearms, and a blue belt with a pouch on opposite sides. This was Endeavor, the number 2 hero of Japan, and Shoto's father. "You're acting disgraceful again, Shoto." The young student continued to tread past him as the flaming hero continued. "If you simply used the power from your left side, you would have earned an overwhelming victory in both of the first rounds as opposed to the other kid. It's time to end this rebellious phase of yours. I gave you a duty to surpass All Might. Don't you dare squander it. Understand, you're my masterpiece, far superior to your elder siblings." Shoto stopped walking and turned to face the parent for a moment. "Is that everything you have to say, you bastard? I'll win this match with Mom's quirk, not yours." He proceeded to stomp through the hall with a more bitter scowl than before as Endeavor replied with, Even if it earns your victory in the tournament, it won't guarantee that you will go far in the real world. A grudge such as yours will prove costly in the end. Back at the stadium, everyone roared in greater excitement over the third match. Probably because this one starred the son of a famous pro hero. The corner flames burst once again to introduce the competitors. Alright, enough standing around. Let's welcome our players for the next match. On the left, we have the guy with swinging skills. But at the expense of some creepy looking elbows. It's Hanta Zero. Hey, that was uncalled for. Zero barked as he stretched his hands. Versus, in the right corner. An early frontrunner in the competition with an OP superpower. Someone who got into the hero course through recommendations. Shoto Todoroki. And now, let's get this third match moving. Ready, begin. Zero stretched his neck for a bit while he quipped, "Like hell I'm going to win this fight." He then smirked as he fired tape from his elbow, perfectly wrapping the sticky substance around Todoroki's arms and legs as he shouted. "That said, I don't feel like losing here." He then tugged onto the heterochromatic teen with all of his might, opting to get him out of bounds like the last two matches. Wowzers. That attack could throw Shoto out of the ring. A brilliant move from the underdog of today. Way to go, Zero. Then, Todoroki muttered, "Apologies," as he cast a vast amount of ice from his right foot. The amount was so great that everyone beneath the field suspected an earthquake was occurring. The ones on the stands, meanwhile, leaned back against a mountain of ice that soared above the stadium's rooftop. Shoto exhaled slowly, content with the move as he froze the tape surrounding his body to break free. "Dude, that was a bit overboard. Don't ya think?" Zero shivered as most of his body was now covered in ice. Midnight's situation was just as bad, given half of her body was also encased in the frozen substance. Zero, she shivered at the overwhelming level of frost. "Can you move at all?" "Are you kidding me?" "Hell no, I can't feel my legs." Zero has been immobilized. Todoroki advances to the second round. Everyone was awestruck over what occurred as Shoto walked to his classmate. "Sorry about that. It was a bit much." He placed his left hand onto Zero's chest, slowly thawing the taping student from his frozen prison. "I was angry, that was all." The pro heroes cheered Zero on for his nice try. Midoriya continued to stare at the half-and-half teen as one thought crossed his mind. Todoroki, he looks sad. Thanks for watching guys, make sure to leave a like, share and subscribe. Also don't forget to check out author of this story. All details in description.